and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Tonight is the return of the blue and red practice, which kicks off at 5:30 p.m. this evening.
Oh, yeah, folks.
I love it.
Mike Danger.
Let's get that red helmet on these guys, and let's make it happen. We want the helmet, the red helmet. One game a year, I think we would all be satiated. A little throwback to the Kelly era Bills. I'd love to see that.
I'm actually going no helmet.
Gene Battaglia.
I think there's a lot you can be encouraged. I think this Bills offense is actually going to be just fine. It's the safeties, it's the back end, it's the pass rush, it's all those things that right now, I just kind of got some questions entering the season.
Touchdown! Touchdown Bears!
The Bears.
Your thoughts on this new kickoff that we saw last night in Canton?
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
And a very good afternoon to you as we welcome you on into Rochester's only local sports talk show. You found the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app, your smart device. When you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, we've got the stream up and rolling. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Check out the stream on Twitch as well. We're back in the cozy confines of our High Falls studios. I'm Mike Danger. That's Gene Battaglia.
Yeah. How are we today? Mike Danger felt good having football on last night, ready for the weekend.
I am in such a good mood. Football last night, just one hell of a weekend in front of us. I actually got so pumped up about football. I've had, not only are we getting all of what we get with training camp, right? Training camp in our backyard, and if you've gone to practice, you know how great it is, and we're there every day, and we're around it, and we're talking to football guys and football players and football executives and football reporters, and then I look at my feed, and I see my nephew who's in his first year of playing football. He's going in 6th grade, and he's wearing his uniform, and I'm like, then the game last night, and I'm watching it. I went garage, cold one in the garage. Watching on the big screen. And you know what I did? I went out today before the show. I bought a football. Tomorrow, my daughter's birthday party. My daughter turns 20. The family's coming over. We're going to run patterns. We're running patterns in the backyard. I got to get a mow in before the party, get a little fast track in the backyard, and we're running patterns, Gino. This is going to be an epic weekend.
Can you bring the football Monday? Because after everyone clears out, I've always wanted to run a pattern there in Growney Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? Yeah, because what are they going to do? Kick us out?
No,
what?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, we'll have to find a strategic time where we can do it, because as we're exiting our Pelicano Pavilion broadcast location, the Bills are out there doing their thing. So, but I'll absolutely bring that thing with me. That was an investment. I'm like, I have 2 daughters. Never had a football since I was a kid. I'm like, let me go grab a football. We're going to run patterns this weekend.
Oh, see, my house much different. We got football, we got Nerf, we got Frisbees, we got the little water balls.
We've got Frisbees and a badminton net and rackets, and, of course, we have bocce. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to put all of that aside. Tomorrow, if the weather holds out, we're outside. We're running patterns. That's all we're doing. I'm going to smoke some meat. We're going to drink some beer. And my nephew's going to learn the value of the word separation. He's going to learn how to separate.
How's his twitchiness? What other cliches can you have for a wide receiver there?
Well, I know he's got a motor. He definitely has a motor. He's got a my ball attitude. You know, he's going to go up and get it, even though he doesn't have a lot of size.
Does he know how to high point the ball?
He's going to have to learn how to high point. It's going to be a challenge for him to high point. He's more of a separation guy. I think he's going to be more of a separation guy if I'm scouting him. But I know he's got a motor. He's got all the intangibles, Gene. Really coachable.
Yeah.
You know, he's got all the things you want in a young prospect. So it's going to be an epic weekend, and it all got started with a little football. Football's back. It got started last night. The Bears get the win in a shortened game. I know it's preseason. It's the Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter, but we got to see it. We got to see the new kickoff. We have thoughts on that, and as much as I love football, what the NFL has done in the last 24 hours is remarkable. What somehow the NFL has escaped.
Oh, wait a second. We're not talking about the new kickoff rule?
No.
We're not talking about the Texans uniforms?
No.
No, all right.
Not yet.
All right. We got kind of a whiff of this yesterday as we're getting off the air. Like, wait a second. There's a report that the judge could overturn this and there would be a ruling. I didn't expect the ruling to come down. It will be West Coast time, but after we got off the air last night.
Yeah.
He overturned it.
Yeah. Yeah.
$14 billion. Nope. NFL owners, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yes. It's unbelievable. The NFL is so gangster. It is I can't comprehend it. It's incomprehensible.
This was the class action lawsuit that had been going on for many, many years for subscribers to the Sunday Ticket, which was previously on DirecTV, that the NFL, through their bundling, was doing something that was kind of frowned upon. And because the verdict went for the plaintiff at the time, and because it was antitrust, those damages are tripled. You went to $14 billion. It's like, whoa, that's a problem here.
It's a big check for every NFL team to have to write.
So what I thought would happen, Danger, is that the NFL would just appeal and kick this down the road and kick this down the road, and maybe there would be some sort of settlement to make it go away. I did not expect the judge to come out and say, the jury did not follow my instructions when it came to damages, therefore, ruling overturned. What?
Threw it out. He threw it out.
Am I allowed, would I get in trouble? I'm just wondering. Did someone get to the judge?
Do you remember there was a movie, a Tom Cruise movie that came out years ago? Do you remember the movie The Firm?
Yes.
Yeah, The Firm is what I think of immediately when we talk about this. Like, he's a young lawyer and he joins this prestigious law
firm. They frame
firm.
him on the beach. Yeah, like
they
in Memphis.
frame
Yeah,
him and you know, I imagine a guy like Wilford Brimley getting to the judge, getting to the judge, scaring the judge with, intimidating tactics, following the judge, knowing like, hey, you know what you need to do. You better do it. We're watching you. We know you want to enjoy your retirement. By the way, the judge is retiring later this year. Kind of, convenient that that's all happening. You want to enjoy your retirement. You know what to do. Do the right thing. And there it is. So Wilford Brimley's behind all of this. Wilford Brimley, or a character like Wilford Brimley,
was also Gene Hackman was like rolling up his sleeves, and yeah.
Well, Gene Hackman was like the sympathetic antagonist, right? Like he's the guy you kind of felt sorry for. Like he had good intentions, but he really was in over his head, and he couldn't do anything about it. So he ends up, being on the outs. And Wilford Brimley is like the chief guy that's like going after Tom Cruise. Like, has there ever been a bigger mismatch in terms of a duel in a movie than Wilford Brimley versus Tom Cruise? Like, I think there's actually a scene in that movie where Brimley is like trying to chase Tom Cruise and he like keels over and he's about to have a heart attack. It's like, of course you're about to have a heart. You're chasing Tom Cruise. You're not catching Tom Cruise, Wilford Brimley. You've got diabetes. That's where my mind went when I thought of the judge. I thought, well, there's a shadowy figure that was hired by somebody in the NFL to coerce the judge into striking a pen, with the strike of a pen, making this all go away.
Well, as far as scandals, for lack of a better word, I mean, issues the NFL has had over the years, the concussion lawsuit, that went away. St. Louis getting robbed of their team. Judgment, no problem. Here's $1 billion. Well, the NFL even has its price. $14 billion, a little too steep. Now, doesn't mean they're completely out of the woods here. Danger, the judge could order a new trial here, but good luck with that.
Yeah, anything that's going to happen with this is going to take another couple of years, and by that point, we're going to forget about it.
Well, there's also, and I don't know if we can kind of connect the stories here, but the NFL, Goodell was calling this special meeting for, hey, should we allow private equity to be minority partners? And I look over at Buffalo, like, wait a second, we know that Terry Pegula would like to have a partner, and would that be including private equity firms? Well, is that all of a sudden for teams that need extra cash? Hey, you know what, this settlement just went away. You don't have to worry about paying the $440
Well, think about what would have happened if teams would have had to pay their share of that settlement. the salary cap would have been affected, players would have been affected, coaches would have been affected. I mean, everybody would make
It'd be
less
like any
money.
other business.
That's
There'd be
correct.
layoffs and
That's
yeah.
correct. It would have been belt tightening even more so than NFL owners. I mean, NFL owners now shouldn't be tightening their belts. They're doing just fine. But guys like Jerry Jones, cheap. He's just cheap. He's not going to overspend. And it would have been even worse if every team, what was it, $441 million or something like that, that every team would have had to write a check for this settlement. Not anymore. Business as usual. Everything continues to grow. Everything's on the up. Wilford Brimley is Roger Goodell's right-hand man, and they got the judge to strike it away.
Wait, I picture like Goodell in the Park Avenue office. Like they're bringing in a case of Cristal.
Yeah.
Like, woo!
Yes.
Yes.
What a great way to start your weekend. What a great way to start the season. Forget about the new kickoff. Forget about the Hall of Fame. This is how we wanted to start the season. If you're in Park Avenue, if you're Roger Goodell's office, like, we won. Season's over. We already won. We won our Super Bowl. We don't have to pay this antitrust settlement. We're going to continue moving forward. I mean, the gangster mentality of the NFL is undeniable. They've got us, and they've got us so good. I mean, think about just close to home, and you could say it's here, and it's in any region that has an NFL team. We just went through this with the stadium. Now, it didn't get to this point, but imagine it getting to a point where the NFL, not the Pagulas, because I think the Pagulas, I want to believe in my heart that the Pagulas are good people, that they are part of this larger entity that has precedent. And if you don't do it the way we tell you to do it, you're out. So the NFL itself is like the organization. Like the Pagulas probably could have, I mean, we know they could have built the stadium with their own money, right? They have the money. They say they don't have the money. It would have been a pain in the ass for them to do, but they could have done it with their own money.
But they don't want to be setting the precedent. The NFL doesn't want any owner to set the precedent. You are not to set the precedent. We are going to use this model. You mean to tell me that your rich Chicago Bears, that's the stare down right now.
Oh,
and there was Warren last night. Oh, you're the team president.
We're going to break ground in 2025.
Yeah, BS.
Right.
Ding, 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 lie.
But what would happen if the threat of picking up a team and leaving your region, your town, your city actually came to fruition? Well, look at St. Louis. Like, they're fine. They're bitter. They're angry. They're now an XFL or I'm sorry, a UFL market, right? Like they're showing up for those games, but they're not going to NFL games. If you're Kathy Hochul and somebody in the NFL says, if we can't get this stadium built, we're just going to have to. Do you really want to be the politician that sees a team, an NFL team, leave the region on your watch?
Well, the county executive in Buffalo would have
Same.
been the one. Yeah, the polling cars would have been the one that's tarred and feathered.
Same.
Yeah.
You're right. Do you really want that blood on your hands? Because they don't have to be in Buffalo. They can find another market to have an NFL
See,
team.
what you're saying is like, but who protested this?
Nobody.
Like, nobody. It was
Nobody.
like, okay, yep, this is the cost of business. And like we kind of move it forward here. There's a story that none of us know. Now we're trying to if you've been on the PSL pitch, the one where you got to go to the strip mall in suburban Buffalo and they sit you down and it's a hard sell. It's like a timeshare sell. You need the timeshare guy there that says, all right, get you out of there. So, you need that guy to come in and be your representative. Heard stories. You heard one.
Oh, God,
story.
I got a great one. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think we've reached the apex of the PSL story yet. I think it's out there. I think there are some season ticket holders that have gone through this and have said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't afford this. There's no way. I've had season tickets for generations, and I'm being priced out of my seats. I can't afford it. I have a buddy who did go to the pitch, who does have season tickets, and was presented with the option. And his words to me, and I'm not even joking when I say, I'm going to say it almost verbatim to what he said. He's like, it's $8,000 a seat for the PSL. And my reaction to that was, well, that's a lot better than the $15,000 I thought it was going to be. Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God. Are we part of
Wow.
the problem? Are we part of the problem by saying, like, in some markets, PSLs are as high as $25,000. Some stadiums charge $15,000 for a PSL.
That might be part of the pitch there. Like, we're going to give you a deal if you sign on now. Here's the thing. I again, if anybody wants, and you can call in, we'll even disguise your voice.
Yes, I went on the PSL.
Why are we worried about that? Are you worried that Wilford Brimley is going to come in?
Yeah, why is there a non-disclosure? So there's somebody we know that's ready to go on this, and they swear.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they're going to tell us everything. Record things. We're going to get in there and figure it out. Like, what is the pitch? Why is this so secretive? Here's the thing, Danger, is that there is such a passion for the Buffalo Bills. They know. They've done their market research. There's enough, for lack of a better word, dumbasses with money who will do this. Yes, there are people with wealth that won't think twice about it. There are some businesses that, okay, this is the cost of doing business. And then there are people in the 40 to 60-year-old range that grew up with this team. And you know what? This is an investment, hon. Yeah, let's go for it. It's only $8,000.
Only $8,000.
I want it.
So I said to him, I go,
Dip
okay.
asses with money.
So I go, it's $8,000 a seat, and he's telling me that they do the dog and pony show. They let you sit in what the new seats. These are what the new seats are going to feel like. This is what they look like. This is where this will be your view.
It's like a car sale.
Of course, absolutely right. $8,000 a seat for the PSL before you even talk about the seasons, right? So he and his son are going to games, so he spent $16,000 for 2 seats for his PSLs. Hey, I'm not going to judge anybody with how they want to live their life or how they want to spend their money. Now, if you're asking me how I would do this, I'm like, if I can't pay for something in cash, then I'm not really interested in doing it. Like I don't want to carry debt. I don't want to be indebted to the banks. I don't want to have to pay interest rates. I don't want any of that on my ledger. I want to keep it clean.
All right.
I know that's unrealistic for a lot of people.
Here's my I can't buy a house with cash, but there are certain things you got to go into debt for. Mortgage, car payment. I don't have like that much. Are they presenting this like a car payment?
I said, look, I don't want it. When I'm talking to my buddy about it, I'm like, I don't want to get too personal, but did you pay for it in cash? How'd you do? He's like, no, they financed it. There isn't an interest rate, but I'm on a payment plan for something like 64 months or something like that. I'm like, holy cow. Okay. And, I imagine that the price of season tickets isn't going to stay flat over the course of 64 months. So that's only going to get. So much like we're talking about the Sunday ticket and how that is an overpriced product, right? The jury found that product was overpriced, right? They did some price gouging.
It was kind of running an illegal business where you had other competition.
Right.
Who's to say? Like, college football is great. You know why? Because everything's on. Everything is on. You don't need to buy the college football ticket because there's enough networks that actually want to buy this. So you mean to tell me the NFL can't actually sell other games to other networks and every game would be on somewhere? No, sir. We got to make this pay-per-view, but we're not going to make it pay-per-view for just your team. You're going to get every team. The murky thing here, Danger, is, okay, I guess secret winner here is YouTube. Everything kind of continues on as normal, right?
That's right. Google will continue to make.
We should have known this was coming because that was the first question we were all asking after this happened. It's like, wow, is that the end of the Sunday ticket? Google didn't say anything. The NFL didn't say anything.
No, it's not the end of the Sunday ticket.
They called Wilford Brimley.
Well, here's another dark reality that the NFL surely has to know. If you're a fan of a team that is out of market and you really, really want to see that game, there are ways to see that game. There are rips of streams everywhere. If you really want to go that path, you can go that path. Now, I don't like going that path. A lot of times it makes me it's sketchy and it just
click here, click there.
It doesn't feel for me. It feels just unsavory. But if you do that, again, I'm not here to judge. If you go that route, that's fine. If you're still the person who's going to continue to subscribe to the Sunday ticket, hey, that's fine too. I'm going to be the guy over here holding my breath for the day where I can actually watch the games that I want to watch at a price that's actually fair, that isn't increased so that the networks get their fair share on their advertisers and not worried about how much money they're going to lose because of this other product known as the Sunday Ticket, which is what's going to continue to happen now that this settlement has been struck from the record. It's unbelievable to me. The NFL is gangster as you can possibly be.
Can we get a ruling on this? You can give us a call at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4FAN. Write to us on X. Our handle, The Fan Rochester, as the gloat writing in Chris in South Central Kentucky. Have you ever seen these two in the same room? It's actually Wilford Brimley and Chiefs head coach Andy Reid.
Oh, is Andy Reid the goon that Goodell hires to go intimidate the judge? I don't think Andy Reid is intimidating. And for what it's worth, if you go back and watch The Firm, I don't really know that Wilford Brimley is that intimidating. I mean, he's like an old, out of shape, overweight guy who's got a gruff voice.
Well, I get from the standpoint of, hey, I'm the new attorney. Here I am, ready to work, and like you're going up against mob money. Yeah.
Except we're talking about a judge who's on the verge of retirement. And if you're a federal judge, like, you're employed for life. You don't get elected. You're there. You're in.
Well, I'm going to ask a question that's pretty naive here. If there's any big business, does every big business have a quote-unquote fixer?
Oh.
I would think the NFL has a fixer, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's not on your business card, but yes, absolutely.
Can we investigate this judge throwing this out? Or is the NFL, by investigating, if you're going to investigate, does the fixer come to you and be like, nah, you don't want to do that? Like, I'm asking these questions honestly, Danger. The jury, should the jury be worried?
Right. If you're the juror, after you registered that verdict, are you sleeping with one eye open moving forward, knowing that somebody from the NFL could be knocking on your door looking like Wilford Brimley in The Firm saying, diabetes?
Wait a second. Like, everything in life, you'll begin to question, like, wait a second, how did my daughter not get into this college? She has everything that happens to you, you would be wondering.
Yes. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair to wonder to have a belief that exists in some way, shape, or form with big businesses. Absolutely. So the NFL gets over. And, hey, I guess... whatever. Good. Business as usual. And if you're waiting for that settlement, or if you're waiting to be able to watch just your team on some sort of Sunday package, keep waiting, because it ain't happening anytime soon.
You know, I think we need a fixer here in the sports bar.
Who's our fixer?
Yeah.
Who's our intimidator? Who's our goon? Who's our hired gun?
See,
who's our goon squad?
Derek the pizza dude is just too nice a guy.
He is too nice
a guy.
He's a big guy.
He's
an intimidating guy.
Yeah.
He can clear a lane for us. He's a road grader, but he is too nice a guy.
Dandalorian, too nice a guy.
Dandalorian, I think, could intimidate with his eyes. I think he's got that kind of like, I think he could. I think he could be the shadowy figure that, scares you, that rolls up on you and scares you a little bit. But we need something more. Dandalorian, I think, is a good lieutenant. I don't know that he's a general. I don't know that he's a captain. Like, I don't know that he's Wilford Brimley in this instance. We need somebody who can be that guy, the enforcer, the intimidator.
Schneider? I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
No.
Sorry, Timmy. I think Timmy would be the first to agree. Nope, that ain't me. Timmy was telling me about all of his physical ailments. Terrible time, Timmy. And
I hooked him up, by the way, with Dr. Dudley, Health Source Chiropractic.
And doing a great job, I'm sure. But he's telling me about all these ailments that he's getting treated, and I'm laughing at him like, dude, you're old. Congratulations, you're old.
Like, Tim, diet, exercise.
Yeah. You're old, pal. Yeah. You are old. Welcome to the club. Have a seat. We've been saving one for you. Yeah, I don't know who our enforcer is. We got to work on that. Oh, I know who our enforcer is. He's one of our regulars. I got him on speed dial. It's Carlos.
Oh my gosh.
Carlos is
Right
our
in front
enforcer.
of us.
Carlos is our enforcer. What am I thinking? I haven't heard from Carlos on X in a
No,
while.
not enforcer, fixer.
He can be the
He can be the fixer
he can
too.
be our intimidator.
Yep.
He's our guy. That's Carlos is that menacing guy.
When Carlos pulled me aside and he's like, Gene, we have a problem. The time I met you, you kind of big leagued me. Like, oh my gosh. Can I buy you a beer, Carlos? I like Heineken. Here you go. Back to have 2. I like the Mets. Do you like the Mets? I like the Mets.
Yeah, that's our guy. I'm glad we were able to identify that guy. He's not Wilford Brimley, but we don't need Wilford Brimley. We got our guy. It's Carlos. And Carlos could be that's the sports bar fixer, the guy that makes things right. This story is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We haven't even talked about the game. We'll get to that, I promise.
We haven't even told you who's coming up on the show today.
Oh, my God. We didn't even
I'm
set the
sorry,
table.
folks.
That's fine.
We are. It's Friday. Free-for-all Friday.
Yeah, we've got we do have a good show lined up for you. Plenty of good guests stopping by, including Zig Fracassi, SiriusXM NFL Radio. He was at the game last night.
He's in Canton.
Beautiful.
So he is covering the Hall of Fame ceremonies tomorrow, at the game last night. If you haven't been to Canton, wow, a lot has changed there. And I think it's good television. I think it's always kind of neat to have these guys give their stories and the speeches. I think it's well done on a Saturday night. We'll get the thoughts of Zig Fracassi. Also, Western New York native. Get his thoughts on the Bills here, too.
A little emotional last night, I'm not going to lie. A little emotional.
Devin Hester,
Hester, Steve McMichael,
Yeah.
even Peppers. I'm like, oh, God, it's good players. Such good players. So good. Yeah, McMichael's a tough one. That speech is going to be a tough one to swallow, but get Zig's take on the festivities last night and, of course, what's coming up this weekend there from Canton. And yesterday we had the chance to catch up with 13 Wham Sports and BuffaloPlus.com's Dan Fates. We'll get his thoughts on training camp up to this point through 7 practices at St. John Fisher University. Dan Fates will stop by. We'll give you that conversation we had with him yesterday. Up next on The Fan, Rochester. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to
update.
It's the Blue and the Red scrimmage tonight in Orchard Park, trying to avoid the rain. 5:30 for the start. Taylor Rapp, he's become a leader at safety.
At the end of the day, it's just getting the best 11 guys on the field, whether that's, dime, whether that's safety, all that stuff. So at the end of the day, just trying to help the team as much as possible. And, if I got to play another position, whatever, someone's got to play another position, someone's got to jump in. At the end of the day, it's just about helping the team win. That's it.
Next practice at Fisher is at 11:45 a.m. on Sunday. 13 Wham and Buffalo Plus's Dan Fates joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Wings are home tonight. Omaha, the opponent. Rochester has 33 home wins on the season. That is tied for the most in the International League. One game in the majors, the Cubs leading the Cardinals 5-1 in the third. Yankees home tonight against Toronto. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We are live, St. John Fisher University, Buffalo Bills training camp, the conclusion of, what's today, day 7 of camp already. Dan Fates, BuffaloPlus.com, 13 Wham Sports, stopping by to share some thoughts on what he's seen so far through camp. How are you, Dan?
Hot. I think everybody's hot. And we're not even in pads.
Does it affect your mood? It does, right? It makes you a little bit ornery, a little bit edgy. I mean, like when you see the guys skirmish.
It's like you walk around like a Mets fan. Like you're just like on an edge.
Right.
Wow.
Right off the top.
Wow. Right off the top. Okay, let's just get this out of the way because honestly, Dan, sign me up for Mets Braves wild card round.
That's fair.
And if you say no, then you're scared.
That's fine.
You're scared. You're scared.
I'm here to talk Bills. But yeah.
You brought it up.
Are you in the camp that Catalana and I are on, that we're just waiting? We're just waiting and waiting with anticipation.
I love doing this face-to-face.
For the collapse.
This is so much better.
Yeah.
This is so much better content-wise.
The collapse that's inevitable to happen. The inevitable Mets collapse.
Yeah.
Dan, let's start with the safety position because I think that's, in the last few days, that's been the thing that's kind of captured everybody's attention. The signings in the last few days.
Yeah.
Are these guys camp bodies? Is Jackson somebody you think has a chance of latching on if the injury bug kind of continues through the preseason here?
I think so. I think he's a veteran that's not named Micah Hyde. I think that was the surprise that, we see Mike Edwards go down week to week with hamstring. He's dealt with hamstring injuries throughout his career. And then obviously you have Cole Bishop now who's week to week with a shoulder injury is what the team said. Bobby Babich talked this morning, and I thought it was very apparent what he said, that no fear, we don't blink, it's next man up, and we just keep going. If there's one position that this team, and I know Hyde and Poyer have been mainstays, they have dealt at times with filling the hole of somebody being out. We've seen Micah be down for 15 games with the neck injury the one year, and Hamlin picked up the slack. I think that they're okay. I think Micah Hyde would definitely be on speed dial at some point. Maybe he just doesn't want to come to camp, and rightfully so. Maybe he's a call they make as soon as they break camp. I'm not putting that out of the realm of possibilities. But if there is a position where this team, and I've said it before, I'm comfortable with the coaching staff making players better than what we think they are, it's at the safety position. This is something they have done time and time again with Babich, with McDermott, with one guy or another. So level of concerns, probably about a 5 right now. You never want to have some guys injured, especially rookie. That kind of stunts the development, but I'm okay with where they are right now.
I'm thinking of a different way here. Maybe you could help out because these two guys, they were on the street, and every team is at 90 men right now. And I'm going back a few years where, hey, the Bills had a surplus on the defensive line. Ooh, we need some help on the offensive line. Let's trade one of our guys, and Ryan Bates came in, and that was – is there a position right now, if there's another team out there that maybe has a safety they think isn't going to make the 53, is there a position right now that would be deep on this team?
Position that's deep? I think you always, it's also because we're seeing it, but I think you could always sit there and say, hey, we're pretty good at the wide receiver position, and I think their O-line depth is pretty good. I think that I don't think you want to give up any of the pieces, whether it's Alec Anderson or Ryan Vandermark, but those guys have shown that in pinches, they can play NFL snaps in game action. So I think that's part of it. I just don't know if there's a button right now that you're pressing saying we need to get a safety in right now? You have a guy that is back on the West Coast, spending time with his family, that is very familiar with this system. And from what Brandon Beane said earlier in camp, he is staying in shape and is ready, but they haven't made that call yet.
How's Milano look to you?
Like Matt Milano.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have a note down here that he blew up a screen today to Dalton Kincaid. Like, he just looks like the guy. And again, they're not fully hitting, but there have been multiple times. I remember early on, maybe day 2 or 3, he covered Curtis Samuel in the flat. And it's like, that's Curtis Samuel, like a shifty wide receiver,
fast
playmaker,
yeah.
And you're a linebacker covering him. Like, that to me stands out. And again, I know I've missed injuries before by saying I thought, Trey White would be back in no time, and he wasn't, and things like that. But Milano's injury, I think the fact that he has all the experience and all those things and familiarity with his system, and he's now alongside Bernard. Like, it's not like he's lining up with a rookie anymore. Bernard should have been a Pro Bowler. He could have been an All-Pro, in my opinion. So, like that, it feels like they're just kind of picking up where they left off, where they were so good for 4 games.
Can this defense be better than last year when you consider that you didn't have Milano, you didn't have Daquan Jones, you had Von Miller? I know the safeties are a concern, but could that be a strength of this team then?
That's a really good question. If I have concern, it's at pass rush. I just don't know. Again, what is a successful season for Von Miller this year? We talked about it on our channel, like 9.5 that you want to see from Von. And, we had Dion saying that 40's back and he's got the aura and he looks great and all these things. But that's where the D-line can make the safeties look better by getting to the quarterback a lot more. So, not having a guy like Leonard Floyd who is just a mercenary of quarterbacks, like that's where I have some of this concern. Where is A.J. Epinesa in the grand scheme of things? Are you confident at him being your starter as an edge rusher, and Von being the special teams guy, the special play coming in, and maybe he's getting 40% of the snaps? Are you happy with that? That's where, when you were talking to me, are you calling other teams and saying what we need? I think the Bills are looking around at possibly another edge rusher to fit back into here.
Dan, let's talk about the sexiest camp battle, and that's wide receiver. This is a team that last year carried 5. And you've got 4 guys right now that feel like they're locks for this team, and a bunch of guys fighting for 1, maybe 2 spots. Break it all down for us, man. How do you see it all going, knowing that what we've seen out of Mac Hollins is probably enough to not only keep him on this roster, but also probably as a special teams captain, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I think Mac Hollins will provide more offensively for this team than Trent Sherfield did. And we're seeing a lot of the versatility. Mac can kind of also add a little bit of that blocking element that Gabe Davis brought, while maybe he can catch more passes too, but that's besides the point. I know there's been some up and down thoughts about MVS's camp so far. I had a hot take on the channel when we were saying, what's your preseason, pre-camp hot take? I said MVS could lead this team in receiving yards. He was, the first 4 days, not even existent with this team. He's gotten a lot more runs with the ones. I asked Joe Brady about what he's seen. He's a guy that has played big games, big minutes, caught big passes over these last 2 seasons. I think that he can be more of a guy that comes in on that 3rd and long, 2nd and long. He may be a guy that goes 2 catches for 48 yards a game. Like, that may be his thing. But he does stuff better than most players do at that. The size, like, Tyrell Shavers is a really good story. He's the training camp darling of this year. Everybody loves Mac Hollins because of the personality, but I don't think anybody knew who Tyrell Shavers really was before this season. He's outplayed Justin Shorter, who we have tons of fans that always ask us about, what do you think about Justin Shorter and things like that. Right now, he's outplayed him. So if I had to say, I think Mac is wide receiver 5. I think Mac Hollins is 5. And I think if they go with 6, I think it's Shavers.
Yeah, I mean, special teams usually the tiebreaker in that regard. MVS doesn't play special teams. What about Hamler? Where does he fit in? Well, like for folks that are listening right now, Dan just winced there.
Yeah, well, and on top of that too, like this new kickoff, we don't really know.
We have no idea
what they're going to employ.
What's Andy Isabella? Is he that much of an upgrade in the return game that he's worth a spot? You kind of have a lot of guys. We've talked about it. You kind of have a lot of guys that look the same and their strengths are a lot of the same. Shakir, Samuel, Isabella, Hamler.
Yeah.
You can't carry them all because they all do kind of the same thing. That's why I said where people were like, MVS could get cut. You signed a $2 million guaranteed contract. He's not
getting cut.
I would be stunned. I've been wrong before, that's for sure. But I would be surprised if, because what he can do down the field is what some players can't do. So I love Hamler. I love his personality. We've talked to him multiple times. He's got that Isaiah McKenzie to him. I just don't know if there's a spot, because he's not better than Shakir and he's not better than Samuel. So where does that fit in?
Dan Fates, BuffaloPlus.com, and 13WM Sports, stopping by the sports bar to share some of his thoughts on camp as we are through 7 days and the return of the blue and the red on the horizon. Dan, a little shifting with the offensive line, and I know that talking offensive line isn't the most sexy of topics, but I think it is notable that McGovern is playing center for the first time since high school, and that you've got somebody behind him who has a lot of experience playing with a really good Georgia team in Cedric Van Pran-Granger. You've got Edwards sliding into that guard, and the fact that Deion Dawkins has never started a season with the same guy next to him in consecutive years. Talk about how the offensive line has looked to your eyes so far.
For all the shifting that there has been for wide receivers and running backs and all those things, and they've really kind of moved guys in and out, it's been mostly the same 5 guys. And there have been times at other camps where they've rotated guys, and then we've always asked Sean, when do you want to solidify this offensive line? I think they've made their decision. I think we know the 5 guys, and Connor McGovern, who has said that he has always felt like a natural center. That's his favorite position. He's always done all these things. And he even kind of said when he was at Penn State, I think he may have played a little bit at Penn State center, but he said even when he was like a guard or things like that, he's always peeking over at the center. This is what his natural spot is. So there have been low snaps out of the shotgun. There have been mishandled snaps with Josh Allen from under center. We've asked Josh today. He said he's not concerned about it. We've asked Joe Brady about it. He's not concerned about it. I'm a little concerned about it anytime that, but it is something new. And I remember asking McGovern, I think it was at mandatory minicamp, how do you and Josh get on the same page? Josh has been under center with Mitch Morris for the last 5 years, and he's been a very consistent, the hand placement, things like that. We didn't go too far where this needs to be censored, but it was just the fact of kind of getting on that same page. Again, now you go from minicamp where you're in shorts and and just jerseys, and now you're taking live bullets, and I'd like to see it cleaned up a little bit. But I'm pretty confident in this offensive line, the way that they have been synced up for all of training camp so far.
I'm going to jump the gun. I'm going to break the seal here, and maybe I'm too early asking this question, but we're going to have the Bills on the field against the Bears pretty soon here. So what's the train of thought this year? Because certainly you want Josh Allen healthy. You have all these new pieces. How do you think they should play this, in terms of playing time?
I'd love to see a half in the second game against Pittsburgh. I don't think he plays in week 1 against the Bears. I'd like to see him get some reps with all of these new pieces, because we have seen ups and downs. Early on in camp when there were no pads, I thought the offense won most of the days. Shocking. They put the pads on. We've seen Keon Coleman get a little bit of the welcome to the NFL moment. Even a guy like Jamarcus Ingram, who's a long corner, who's actually had a really strong camp, kind of bully him around. All of a sudden, you take that next step. We talk about it with all the players, but to see that and how Josh handles with all of those things, I'd like to see a half in that Steelers game. Besides that, gift wrap them and bubble wrap them for week 1.
Now, we saw the release of the second punter with the addition of the safety earlier this week. And there is really no competition at kicker with Bass, and now with punter with Sam Martin staying here. Any concerns, anything that you've observed with Tyler Bass? Do we feel good about that connection between Martin and Bass?
I feel like I've been on Tyler Bass's side these last, even after the Steelers playoff game where he missed 2, and then obviously we know the Kansas City miss. Matt Smiley talked about the fact that he worked on some things both mentally and mechanically and has things ironed out. I know there have been people that said, why haven't they brought another kicker? There are kickers probably everywhere right now, NFL-level kickers that are just sitting there also doing their own routine. You can sign a veteran kicker tomorrow off the street if Bass struggles through 2 weeks. There's no reason. I would rather have, like you said, 4 or 5 extra, 2 extra corners, an extra safety you bring in. I don't see the reason of putting pressure on Bass in training camp to try and see if he still has it. Let him do his thing, and then, again, I feel like it's easy to break the glass and find another NFL-caliber kicker that's unemployed at this moment.
Don't tell Catalana this, but I'm kind of jealous of the shrubbery and the greenness of his backyard.
It's beautiful.
But Buffalo Plus, we got to see a glimpse of it because Buffalo Plus, you had Brandon Beane. What is that like?
Big get.
in that venue, in Mike Catalana's backyard. What was that like? Does he bring over a gift?
Well, no, there was
bottle
no
of
gift,
wine?
and he also didn't even come through the house. He just went around the outside. It looked like somebody was breaking into Catalana's house. And we're like, oh, there's Bean. Here he is. It was really cool. We've been working on it for a long time. We wanted to get him in the podcast studio, but then we ended up just getting him in Mike's backyard, which is just a rock's throw away from training camp. So that was really cool to get him to sit down. And I always joke. I was kind of joking around with him like, hey, you've done Part of My Take. You've done the Pat McAfee show. He's been on Green Light podcast with Chris Long. Like, this has got to be your biggest moment. And we were just talking during practice today. He kind of comes over and goes, how'd the podcast do? I was like, it did about 15, 16,000 views, still going up. And he goes, is that good? I was like, that's pretty good for us.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good podcast. So it was really cool to get him in that element.
Does he show up with a six-pack, a bag of chips guy?
No,
Is he a bottle of wine guy?
It was focus. It was we had him on Monday, so it was just focus, and he was in and out. He said next time we'll have to have some beers afterwards. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is something you can check out and certainly tell us what we got coming up here on Buffalo Plus and 13 Wham.
Yeah, we also have Mac Hollins. I did a story with Mac as the most interesting man in Buffalo. No shoes, no utensils. His dad owned a lion. He thinks small cats steal your soul. We went on and on. He's got 3 snakes. One of them is named Banana Pants. He was awesome. He's another guy that's become a training camp darling for his personality, his hair, his shirts, all of those things. But pretty much we also have every day it's a recap. And every day there's a pass catcher of the day because, like you talked about, it's the sexiest position that everybody's talking about here at training camp. So daily recap videos. And coming up on Friday, I did a Zoom with Dan Orlovsky. And I got to catch up with him about what he's seen from Josh Allen. If he's an idiot like other people in the media that think Josh Allen's overrated, I talked about that with him, as well as his biggest concern for this Bills offense.
Yeah, I mean, real quick on that, because I thought Brandon Beane said it perfectly. Where do you come down on the unnamed source, manufactured story? The whole thing to me was BS, Dan.
ESPN got what they wanted. They got what they wanted because you can be unanimous or anonymous and just say, yeah, he's overrated. Nobody has to know what it is. And Brandon also made a good point. What is an NFL executive? He's like, I've been probably called that before when I am not an executive that has any decision. So ESPN got what they wanted. Hat tip to them because that was what came out of this story about as they're trying to do the survey of top players.
And one more point on that, and just something that you observe here when you do camp, as long as you've been doing camp, and we go to these practices and we watch and we analyze and we look at every throw and we look at every play. And when a quarterback in training camp throws a pick, I don't think it's an indictment on how they're going to perform this season. I mean, if there's ever a time for you to try to squeeze a pass in or to test your limits of what a window could look like, it's training camp. It's now.
I always talk about it with spring training with pitchers. There may be a pitcher that they say, hey, you have to throw 15 changeups today because he's working on a changeup, and he gives up 3 home runs in spring training to minor league players. And they're like, oh, he's going to have a rough year. It's like maybe he's doing something he's never done before. Josh has talked about tinkering with his throwing motion. He's getting to know new wide receivers. They all have to be on the same page. All of those things. I don't care about interceptions in training camp. I also don't care about running plays without pads on, things that fans go ooh and ah about. I just don't care.
That said, looks pretty good.
Looks pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's been fun, again, to get back to where mini camps and voluntary camp, I thought this is like, oh, boy. But this was back to, Josh Allen. And the ball, when the ball doesn't hit the ground on 7-on-7, it's a lot of fun. Because we have seen here at Fisher, it hasn't always been like this. So let's be, he's the 13th best player, or NFL ranked him 12.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's like we're sitting here. It's like, imagine telling Bills fans 10 years ago, you're going to be upset that your quarterback is only rated by the NFL Network the 12th best player in the league.
Dan
Fates, 13 Wham. Thanks for the time.
Go Braves.
Buffalo.
He gotcha.
Got me.
Dan Fates, who stopped by yesterday while we were live at St. John Fisher University Buffalo Bills training camp, BuffaloPlus.com, and 13 Wham Sports.
Yeah, the late Tom George I'm going to channel here.
Oh.
Got a traffic update here.
Oh, traffic update.
Courtesy Alex Brasky. Now, if you're heading to the blue and the red scrimmage, apparently there's an accident near the clearance exit. This would be heading west. Alex Brasky, don't take the 90.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So when there's a backup on 90, it's, I imagine there's probably something that is preventing, like an accident has happened, not necessarily traffic to the stadium, right?
Right. So there's maybe when you get around that would be okay.
Yeah.
And whoa, He medaled.
Yeah.
Wow. I missed the end of that.
Pre-recorded, conversation there with Dan Fates and the Dan DeLorean, super producer of the Sports Bar, left the Olympic coverage on. I think this is NBC, and the 10K is going on, the men's 10K, and as you would expect, you've got some Ethiopians up at the top and some Kenyans in the top 10, and there's one USA runner in the top 10, this guy Fisher, and there's a Canadian in there as well, and it looked like Fisher was going to make a play to medal, and then he dipped back to like 6th, and then like the final lap, he just kicked it up into another gear, and it looks like he'll be on the medal stand. So that's some good news for Team USA. We get a 10K.
A 10K, yeah. It's not distance per se. Well, I guess it would be 1,500.
I didn't see the time too. I mean, every time I see these unbelievable world-class athletes run a 10, it's 26 minutes. They did 10K in 26 minutes or less.
Okay, 10K.
Yeah.
I'm watching this. It looks like a sprint.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
I need at least double that time for 10K. I need at least double that. Give me double that time, and maybe we can talk. These guys are freaks. Good for him. Good for Fisher. And not so good for the Team USA men's soccer team today against Morocco. I don't know if you saw this, but it looks like...
Yeah, Grant Fisher is his name.
It looks like USA men's soccer went to Paris for nothing.
That was horrible. No, but don't you know, Danger, that they got out of the group stage, so we should view this as a stepping stone. This is not a failure. It is all steps to success for the United States soccer, so do not view 4-0 to Morocco as a failure.
Oh, fine. Then I'm just going to amuse myself. Is that okay? I'm just going to amuse myself this afternoon. We're going to come back with Zig Fracassi, who's in Canton. Hall of Fame game last night. We haven't even talked about that. The new kickoff rule. We'll get to that next. And we'll let Zig be our ears and eyes at the Hall of Fame festivities this weekend in Canton. A memorable weekend certainly for fans of the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. Zig Fracassi stopping by here in about a half hour or so. We do have time for your calls if you want to pull up a stool at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening.
WBEE HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
The rain should be stopping in Buffalo tonight for the blue and the red scrimmage. It is a 5:30 start. Daquan Jones knows defense is coming along.
I mean, just that we're growing. I mean, we're very young, and but I feel like the first couple of days we were kind of catch our stride. The last 2 days, I think we had a pretty good practice. I was gonna keep on stacking the days. We got a lot of time left, and but I'm happy with where we're going at the defense.
Next practice at St. John Fisher University coming up Sunday at 11:45 a.m. Rochester Red Wings home tonight. Again, it's Omaha. The Wings have 33 home wins this season. That is tied for the most in the International League. Just one game in the majors. The Cubs leading the Cardinals 5-1. They're in the 6th. Yankees send Marcus Stroman to the mound tonight as Toronto is the opponent. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Tonight is the return of the blue and red practice, which kicks off at 5:30 p.m. this evening.
Oh, yeah, folks.
I love it. Mike Danger.
Let's get that red helmet on these guys, and let's make it happen. We want the helmet, the red helmet. One game a year, I think we would all be satiated. A little throwback to the Kelly era Bills. I'd love to see that.
I'm actually going no helmet.
Gene Battaglia.
I think there's a lot you can be encouraged. I think this Bills offense is actually going to be just fine. It's the safeties, it's the back end, it's the pass rush, it's all those things that right now, I just kind of got some questions entering the season.
Touchdown! Touchdown Bears!
The Bears.
Your thoughts on this new kickoff that we saw last night in Canton?
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Our coverage of Buffalo Bills training camp is brought to you by Ace Swim and Leisure, Child Eye Ave, Ridge Road and Webster, aceswim.com, and by Maddie's Motorsports with locations in Farmington, Spencerport, and Dansville, Maddie'sMotorsports.com. Our guests appear on the Ace Swim and Leisure hot seat, and with that, we bring you back into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia from the cozy, temperature-controlled confines of our High Falls studio. The return of the blue and the red at Highmark Stadium tonight. So a shout out to everybody that's going to tonight's practice. We will see the team back in Rochester Sunday morning for an 11:45 practice before a closed to the public practice on Monday. That's not closed to the media, but closed to the public.
Right. And a few VIPs. Like, that was the one where Jim Boeheim
The Jim
showed up.
Boeheim practice.
Yeah, the Jim Boeheim practice.
Jim Boeheim will show up, walk around.
Oh, really? Good. I can't do Boeheim as well as you.
I think what makes it appealing for Boeheim to show up is he doesn't have to deal with anybody. He's just be Jim Boeheim and not have to deal with anybody. You know,
right, yeah. Like
the peasantry.
Right. You would have kids screaming for autographs and everything. He doesn't want to deal with that.
Doesn't have to deal with the peasantry. Man, I'm so fired up for this weekend. And really, for me, the weekend started last night in Canton, and the Bears and the Texans. Side note on the Texans, by the way, I don't know, when did the Texans become the Atlanta Falcons with their get-ups? These uniforms are not the Texans uniforms.
The only thing I'll give them credit on, because it's unique, where the stripes on the shoulders kind of come out looking like a horn. Okay, you're the Texans. I just think the whole brand is kind of stale. Of course, they have like the other alternate uniforms that have a little bit of the love you blue. The shout out to the old Houston Oilers, which they can't go back to full Oiler gear because they're owned by the Tennessee Titans. What a mess. Not impressed. No, I wouldn't put that out there. The kickoff rule. I know this is unpopular in sports talk, but I think we have to suspend judgment. I didn't see enough out of that last night to get excited one way or another. It looks like a glorified running play. It's more than what we had, but I understand that there isn't a special teams coordinator that's going to put exactly on tape what they're going to do week one. So you're just going to see very generic, I'm not saying vanilla, generic sort of plays on the kickoff return.
I'm good with it. I'm glad that they instituted it. I like what I saw last night. I know that your longest return was only 31 yards. I think it's unrealistic to think that every game is going to feature a return touchdown. I just want to see returns. And we saw returns last night. Returns are back in the game. It's a game, it's a part of the game that has been missing. It's been a zero. And last year, the return rate on kickoffs was the lowest it's ever been. So they needed to do something. And, as jarring as it is to the eyes when you first see it, it's kind of a cool play. You had one touchback last night. It was a total of 8 kickoffs. One touchback. You had 2 other kickoffs that made it to the end zone that could have been downed as touchbacks. Now, with a touchback, the receiving team will get the ball at the 30-yard line. And of the 7 kickoffs that were returned, your average starting field position was the 25.6-yard line. And I mentioned the longest return, 31-yarder by Bears receiver John Jackson. It's one game. It's one preseason game. And you're right, coaches aren't going to display anything in the preseason. And I honestly think coaches are still trying to figure out how they can gain an advantage. What way can they immobilize who they have on their roster to gain a competitive advantage with this play? But just the idea, just the fact that returns are back in the game, for me, that's good enough. It's good enough for me.
I am in favor of any sport that says, hey, let's improve it this way. Baseball, a few years ago. You can't do the clock. You can't do the runner on base. I have to come around on it all. I mean, same thing with football. There was a time where we didn't even have the 2-point conversion in the NFL. So improving the game, I wish the NHL would take a look at some things. I'm okay with it. It wasn't something that you said, wow, though, last night. Let's be honest. And I think part of it, too, Danger, is if you're comparing the data to the XFL for more big plays and everything, I mean, NFL players are less likely to miss assignments here on special teams. So what it amounts to a glorified running play, this return, like you said, it is better than what we had. I think the strategy, if you're kicking it away, it's just very simple. It's make sure you don't get a touchback, put it somewhere around the 10-yard line, even closer to the goal line if you can do that. The one thing I did not know before I watched last night, you could actually have a 12th guy on the field.
Oh, the holder, yeah.
Yeah, the holder.
Yeah, that was interesting. The holder has to rush off the field so as to not be a part of the play. And then you also had 2 procedural penalties on the kicking team last night because you can't move and you got to keep your foot on the line. And you can't, they were watching that closely, as they should, because they know we're watching it closely. They're trying to set a tone. Officials will set a tone and make sure that this new rule is followed. It's a 1-year trial, but I have a feeling it's not going anywhere. Now, somebody whose opinion on the topic you may respect is going into the Hall of Fame. That's Devin Hester. And when they interviewed him and asked him about it, he didn't seem too impressed. But I also think Devin Hester played at a time when this wasn't even a thought. It was you kick the ball and you deal with, if you want to return it, you return it. And the Bears figured out with Devin Hester, like, we have this weapon, this guy who is unbelievable at this one thing. You can kick to him at your own risk. Those days ended when they changed the touchback rule, right? When they basically said, we don't want the kickoff. We don't want the kick return in the game anymore because it's too dangerous a play. For the sake of player safety, we're okay with everything being a touchback. Hester going in. McMichael going in, Peppers going in. I'm emotional last night. I'm enjoying the game. I'm in the garage. I've got a cold one. The fans are going. We got a good, solid breeze happening in the screened-in garagio. My phone vibrates. I look over. Who's texting me? None other than Uwe Blob over here.
Uwe Blob. I'm an Uwe now?
You're Uwe Blob, buddy.
I'm Uwe Blob.
Yeah, you're Uwe Blob. What did you text me? Bears are going 1-16 this year. I'm like, they got down early.
I did that after the opening drive.
10-0.
You didn't detect my sarcasm or humor. Didn't find it funny whatsoever.
I was not laughing.
You were not laughing.
I was not laughing at Uwe Blub's text to me saying that the Bears were going 1-16.
I am not.
Then you followed. I not detecting your sarcasm. I said, gee, it's the Hall of Fame game.
I know. Like when you said, "What's a Hall of Fame game?" What are you talking? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly my point.
No, you said I call it like I see it. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
You said you even dug deeper. You're like, I call it like I see it, pal. Sorry. I'm like, you got to be. I can't even. This guy over here is ruining my night. I have fun. I got other friends saying, hey, this is fun. I'm glad the Bears are on. This is great. What do you think about Rippin? What do you think about? Oh, we got a quarterback competition between Rippin and Tyson Bagent, who, by the way, does a burpee broad jump mile.
You've mentioned this, yeah.
In just over an hour. I didn't know the time. Just over an hour. Like an hour and 7 minutes, the dude can do a burpee broad jump mile where you do a burpee, get up, broad jump, burpee, broad jump, repeat for a mile. He does it in just over an hour. The guy's a psycho. Imagine if he could throw a football. He would be dangerous. But Rippon looked good last night for the Bears, so he's probably your QB2, I would say.
What I didn't know is, hey, all these ex-Buffalo Bills connections. I mean, some of the obvious ones. There was Diggs on the sideline. By the way, getting all excited the first drive. Guys, it's the Hall of Fame game. I know you want to pump up your teammates and whatever. Stroud jumping around, great, whatever. You had Eric Washington right at the beginning there. Yep. They cut away to him like, oh, yeah, he totally forgot. He would have been Pepper's positional coach way back when. And Eric Washington, of course, was the defensive line coach in Buffalo last year. And little did I know, hey, there's our old sports bar guest, Tommy Sweeney. I think I want to say we've had Tommy Sweeney on twice. Tommy Sweeney, who also I kind of forgot. It's like a high school thing, double numbers. Like the first guy that gets called for defensive holding, 47. Like, that's not Tommy Sweeney, but then Tommy Sweeney comes out, makes his own.
47.
Yeah. He had a touchdown, but he made some other plays, too.
I think he had a fumble, right?
He had a fumble, had another penalty, yeah.
Yeah. The pride of Boston College, Tommy Sweeney. We had him on as a rookie, I want to say. And I think the last we remember of Tommy Sweeney was myocarditis. Yeah, he didn't really play the COVID season because of the myocarditis issue. But good to see that he's still floating around there, and we'll see if he has any prospect of making that team. But getting a touchdown last night. The Bears get the win in a shortened game with 3:31 left in the third. When they showed the radar, I'm like, oh, yeah, that game ain't finishing. They don't need to do anything to put anybody at risk, players, coaches, fans. They'll just call this game as soon as that thunderstorm hits Canton.
The commercials have run. The tickets don't need to be refunded. Yep. Everybody go home.
Everybody's got theirs. Okay, good. We're good. We can cut the. I wasn't complaining. I got to bed a little bit earlier than I was anticipating. That was nice. Nice little surprise there. A little thunderstorm to cut short the Hall of Fame game. And honestly, as far as Hall of Fame games go, it was a pretty entertaining game. I think the new kickoff was a part of that, but it also was there was a back and forth nature, and it wasn't horribly played. Cam Akers showed that he's still got something. I don't know. I mean, 2 Achilles tendon injuries, and he's still out there.
Like, so it's always, wait, when is it? Why is this guy playing at this point? Well, for that matter, why is anybody playing that you would value? But to see Cam Akers in that burst last night, going, ooh, maybe Houston has something as far as a guy that maybe if you're in a really deep fantasy league, he showed some burst last night.
See if he makes that team. I mean, I think the guys that are out there last night are guys that when the camp comes to a conclusion, they're going to be guys that are scraping for a job, trying to latch on with that one of those final roster spots.
Another guy, Case Keenum, we had on the show.
That's right. Case Keenum, the third stringer behind all-neck team Davis Mills.
If you're watching the feed right now, hello, on YouTube and Twitch, and Danger's a Bears fan, you can see Danger's hat. He's a Cub, wearing a Cub. Your Cubbies are up. What do Cub fans think of White Sox fans, or what do they think of the White Sox in general?
I think White Sox fans and Cub fans don't really mix. I think they view each other. I think they just view each other differently.
Yeah, I mean, I know Yankee fans kind of look down on Met fans, so you don't look down on White Sox fans at all?
I think White Sox fans look down on Cubs fans. I think
They shouldn't.
I know, but I think White Sox fans, I think view themselves as grittier, tougher, more street savvy. You know, Cubs fans are just the lovable losers, up there on the north side.
Well, I bring this up because with everything going on with Bills camp and football, and yes, we got the Olympics, there's this storyline in Chicago we've kind of overlooked. We need to bring this up, Danger, because the White Sox indeed are chasing greatness.
Oh, yeah.
Entering tonight. They haven't won since before the All-Star break.
Yeah. How many in a row?
17.
They're terrible.
27-84. That's a .243 winning percentage. That would put them on pace for 123 losses.
Yeah, this is the worst baseball team of all time.
Yeah, that would break the 1962 expansion Mets. The Phillies, by the way, lost 23 straight in 1961. That is the record. Anything owned by Jerry Reinsdorf, yeah, I'm pulling for this.
Yeah, we pull for greatness. We want greatness. We don't accept anything less than greatness. So it's one thing to lose 17 straight. Go for the record, boys. Chase that greatness. 17 ain't going to get it done. We want 24 straight losses. Only 7 more to go. I'm not going to hold my breath. I think they can get it.
They get the Twins tonight in Minnesota. Come on, Twins.
Better team.
Yeah.
Twins. Oh, this was something that crossed my feed too, Gino. I don't know if you saw it. It may, I'm not going to say that it is. I feel like this guy is 9 lives when it comes to the NFL. He's one of the favorites of the sports bar, a legend in the sports bar. Is Nathan Peterman's time in the NFL finally up?
No, come on. We don't talk this silly talk.
He's been released by the New Orleans Saints.
Oh. But that's full circle, right? That little bit of New Orleans, so he's the man.
That's right. You're right. It is full circle. He signed with New Orleans in March. He was with the Bears the last 2 seasons. Of course, we remember him from his time in Buffalo for his first 2 NFL seasons. Is it almost... what's the sports cliche? It's getting late early?
It's getting late early for Nathan Peterman.
Is it getting late early for Nathan Peterman? I mean, they haven't even played a preseason game. He's no longer with the team.
Right. There will be injuries. I would say no. He's going to end up in some room somewhere. Now, as far as him seeing any minutes on the field, I can't tell you that, but some team will bring him in at some point.
You think so?
Heck, who's the guy that's bounced around from team to team to team? I can't think of the guy's name. He was in Buffalo, really Tampa Bay draft pick. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, gosh. Why can't I think of his name?
Is he a current quarterback?
He might still be. Like, he's been on 1,000 teams, former first-round pick.
Quarterback?
Yeah.
Former first-round pick.
Yeah.
Of Tampa?
Yes. Oh, somebody help us
Not
out.
Glenn. No, Glennon
No.
wasn't a first-round. Was he a first-rounder? I don't remember. It's going to drive you crazy.
I got to look this up.
And he was
Josh Freeman.
Oh, Freeman.
Yes,
Yeah,
Josh Freeman.
He's been with everybody, including teams in the XFL, and that dude's he's still kicking around. But he's actually, I think, won some games. What's Peterman's claim to fame other than that god awful half of football in San Diego? No, that was in LA at the time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, horrible. So we'll see. Maybe he latches on with another team. Maybe an injury forces a team into desperation. But if Dennis Allen is saying, nah. I mean, I guess Dennis Allen maybe doesn't know the greatness that he had on that roster with Nathan Peterman. Somebody will. Maybe it's somebody like a Jim Harbaugh. Now that you have, you're going to need to bring somebody in.
Time out. We go inside the Bills front office, and Sean McDermott is looking at the waiver wire.
Oh, no.
Does he look at that like the one that got away? Is he looking at that like, man, that was the girl I dated in high school?
Do you think so?
I think so. Is he thinking
that one?
We had some good times together.
That one training camp, Peterman had some kind of musk that McDermott loved.
Who is the third? Is it Bouchel? What is his name?
Yeah, Steve Bouchel.
Steve Bouchel. Like, does McDermott go in? We're going to release Bouchel anyways. It'd be good to...
All right, here's a hypothetical for you. If you're Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers and Justin Herbert is gone for the rest of the month with that plantar fascia foot issue that they hope to get him back for in time for week 1, who is more likely to join? And maybe they already signed somebody. I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Who's more likely to join the Chargers coached by Jim Harbaugh? Colin Kaepernick or Nathan Peterman?
Oh, it's Peterman.
Peterman?
It's Peterman.
You think he goes Peterman instead of Kaepernick?
Yes.
That's his boy. He'll get Kaepernick back there. That's his guy.
It's been 7 years? 7.
I know. And I know that nobody in the NFL would want that. Like other NFL owners wouldn't want that. But if there's a guy who would tell the NFL to shove it, it would be Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh would be the guy that would say, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to bring him back anyways.
Yeah, and if there's a market there.
That's my guy.
Everybody be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
be LA.
He probably wouldn't make the team, but you need bodies this time of year. All right. So I'm jumping the gun and saying that this could be the end for Nathan Peterman. You're saying he's still going to latch on with somebody.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm under strict orders. No more box wine bets. No more. Danger always wins. Stop with that. Look, I'm going to reverse the trend here.
I wish I could win my regular bets the way I win my boxed wine bets. That would be very profitable for me.
I'm sorry. Can I? It's mean for me to laugh at your expense, but Danger, like, I'm using the master stroke voice. The Phillies here against the Yankees teaching me LeMahieu is batting under 200.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
take
terrible.
The under. 6 RBI.
Yes.
2 hits.
Yes.
The 1 run. Like the over-under in the combo that was 1.5. I'm going to take the under. Yeah, instead it ends up hitting at the sports bar number 9.
Yeah, I thank you, Yankee fans. You have me to thank for LeMahieu's success against the Phillies. How many RBI did he have in that game?
6.
6 RBI. Oh, yeah, crushed me. Absolutely crushed me. But that's okay. That was July. We've turned the page.
Yeah.
August is here.
See, like, you called me an Uwe, and I used the master stroke voice talking about you. So I think we're even now.
Let's get to Zig Fracassi. He's our ears and eyes at the Hall of Fame in Canton. He joins us next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports. update.
Coming up at 5:30, it's the Blue and the Red scrimmage in Orchard Park. The rain should be clearing up by then. Taylor Rapp, he's become a leader on the back end.
At the end of the day, it's just getting the best 11 guys on the field, whether that's, dime, whether that's safety, all that stuff. So at the end of the day, just trying to help the team as much as possible. And, if I got to play another position, whatever, someone's got to play another position, someone's got to jump in. At the end of the day, it's just about helping the team win. That's it.
Next practice at St. John Fisher coming up at 11:45 a.m. on Sunday. We'll go to Canton coming up next. Zig Fracassi will join us. Rochester Red Wings home tonight. Omaha, once again, the opponent. The Wings have won 33 games at home this season. That is tied for the most in the International League. Cubs leading the Cardinals 5-1 in the 6th. Yankees home tonight against Toronto. Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
All right, Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM going to be stopping by the Sports Bar here in just a few. He's in Canton.
Yeah, I went to this years ago. It's fun. I haven't been, though, since they put all this money into the stadium and into the museum itself. But if you love football, that's one of the places you got to hit. But just to give you an idea how much this has changed, I went the year that Joe Gibbs and Charlie Joyner went in, and it was so informal, Danger. Like the front steps, we always see the NFL films footage where they are on the front steps. They don't do that anymore. Like, it was actually Jim Kelly that so many people were coming down for Kelly. Oh, we got to do something else. Let's put it in the stadium. That's how that all started back in 2002.
I got a little FOMO because I feel like as a fan, as a football fan, as a Bears fan, fear of missing out.
Gotcha.
I feel like this might have been the year for me to go. I've never been.
Yeah.
And this might have been the year for me to go. I've always loved Evan Hester, the player. Of course, Steve McMichael, legend. Peppers is great. These are all guys that I remember loving when they were in Chicago. And I don't know when the next round of players going in are going to be. Like, I know there are going to be a lot of good players going in when Brady goes in. That's going to be acceptable, right? Like,
yeah, but you want your guy.
That's right.
Let's make ourselves a promise right now. And I don't think he gets in, but you and I have a relationship with Steve Tasker. Tasker and Browning are going to come on our show. We're going to do like a little crossover thing. Next week we're back at camp. Really looking forward to that. If Tasker gets in, like the Bills Mafia is going to descend. I'm trying to wonder, like, who is the next guy? And I think the answer is nobody. Like, who is the next Buffalo Bill to get in the Hall of Fame? I don't know if there's anybody that's sitting out there right now, and I would say, hey, it's Tasker.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's like the last of that era, and certainly during the drought era, there might be guys going in that had some kind of connection to Buffalo. But
for clarity's sake, okay, you're as a Bills fan, you shouldn't go down and celebrate Marshawn Lynch. Okay, he didn't make his name in Buffalo. There were a few good years. For that reason, you weren't really like, yeah, T.O.'s going in. Woo, the 1 year.
Right.
Although he didn't show up, if you remember.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
That would be – you're right. I mean, if that ever happens, that would be bananas. I mean, does all of Buffalo go to Canton for that weekend? I think so. That would be absolutely insane. So we had the game last night in Canton. The new kickoff rule is in effect, and Zig was there for all of it. So we'll get his take on everything that happened last night in Canton and on last night's game and, of course, this weekend's festivities.
Yeah, and you still could go down if you wanted to go down for Saturday. I don't even know. Like, do you need a ticket? Do you just kind of show up?
I've got a good weekend planned already, Gino. I mean, it's my daughter's 20th birthday weekend. I've got a good 14-pound brisket right now.
Oh.
Getting to room temperature. And we'll be seasoning that bad boy up tonight to throw it on the egg and let it go overnight.
You're not going to the supermarket. You're going to the special meat place.
I went to the meat market. Yeah. I have a spot. I have a spot that I go to that's I have a West Side spot that I go to that I'm a big fan of. And every time I go in there, they give me a little tip here, a little tip there. Hey, the tip they gave me last time, I'm sorry if I'm getting a little bit off the rails here, but if you're a barbecue person, I'd love to hear your take on this, because they told me this, and I swear I tried it, and I'm like, that might be the best thing I've eaten, that I've smoked to this point. A lot of people will tell you use a binder before you put the rub on. Some people use olive oil. Some people use mustard. Some people don't use anything. These guys told me to use sriracha as a binder. Used it. Loved it. It's fantastic. Might go back to the sriracha binder before we throw that brisket on the egg and do some smoking this weekend for my daughter's birthday party. I can't wait for it. We have Zig?
We got Zig. We found Zig. Zig
There's our guy.
Fakasi, NFL radio. He's in Canton. Zig, is this your first time in Canton?
Hey, guys. No, it's more like, I think, my 12th or 13th time here.
Wow.
You're the expert
Yeah.
then. So you're the guy that we want to talk to, because, for guys like me that have never been, you can be our ears and eyes, and I'm going to live vicariously through you as a Bears guy, seeing Hester and McMichael and even Peppers going in this weekend. What's the scene like so far there, Zig?
Oh, it's been tremendous. Spent some time with the Bears people today. In fact, their longtime broadcaster, really good guy too, Jeff Joniak, and just getting some perspective, and obviously, a storied franchise that they are, and a lot of buzz with this year's team. So it's kind of, it's almost like, I don't know, you've gone to the buffet, but you don't want to eat too many times or else you're going to get full, or too full or whatever. But between the enthusiasm of this year's team, and then obviously Hester, maybe the greatest return guy of all time. Peppers had a couple of really good years there, and obviously Mongo. It's sad because obviously of his health condition, but still it honors that great 85 Bears defense. Had some good stuff with Richard Dent today, talking about Mongo, how he was able to pressure the inside and make things easier for Dent and the gang on the outside. So it was a definite Chicago Bears flavor to the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year.
Zig, what is it like talking to these all-time greats? Because you talk to players today that are in the game, and they're just focused up on what's next. And I've always found that some of the best conversations, you're lucky enough to be talking to not only the guys that are going in, but some of these Hall of Famers that are coming back to celebrate there. What is it like talking to these all-time greats?
It's really great. I was chatting today with Darrelle Revis, of course, Revis Island, maybe the best corner of his particular generation. And I asked him, he went in last year. I says, has it really, now that it's been a year, maybe settled things down, has it sunk in? And then there was kind of this reflective pause and everything like that. And I think he's still overwhelmed by the fact that he's in, among the, less than basically 400 people or around that point of people who played or administrated or coached this game that are in the walls of Canton. And you always have the good war stories, if you will, about how this guy played against this guy and everything like that. And still the history of the game's pretty preserved. And then, as far as if guys, the older guys, maybe if they still follow today's game, I would say that you probably have a cross-section of guys that maybe don't follow the game as close, but I talked with Anthony Munoz today, the Bengals icon. He's obviously watching Caleb Williams, for example, because it's a USC guy, so he's still dialed in the game, and obviously still with the Bengals and that organization, very high on Joe Burrow and their prospects this year. So you get a cross-section of guys that maybe don't follow the game as close, but others that do. So it's just really a great educational experience. I've always said this, guys. It's like your football cards come to life when you go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Zig, when we had the game last night, for a game that was an exhibition without any starters, I thought it was a fairly entertaining game, and I think it drew a lot of eyeballs because of that new rule, the kickoff rule. So how did it look to you? How did it come across there in person? We saw how it came across on screen. We actually heard Devin Hester kind of say he's a little iffy on this rule as well. And if you had a chance to talk to Devin Hester, I'm curious to get his thoughts on this new rule, as he might be the best of all time.
Yeah, I didn't, but I think our guys, of course, Western New York's Vic Carucci and, of course, Howard Balzer, they had a chance to chat with Devin, I think, today. In fact, we just got back from the press briefing over there at the Canton Repository, the legendary newspaper here in Canton, and that reaffirms, I heard the same comments too, that he's a little bit iffy on the, to me, guys, it's almost like you're watching something, but then like you go up to use the bathroom or you go to the kitchen to get something to drink. You pause your DVR. Then when you go back to hit play, that to me seems like what the kickoff is, because the action really doesn't start until the kicker kicks off the ball, and then it's like everybody starts moving around like the electric board games that we all had in the 70s. So that's how that works. In terms of the game, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Obviously, Brett Rippon, a guy that's still trying to, latch onto a team. I thought Cam Akers ran the ball pretty well. I know he's trying to make a spot in the National Football League. Unfortunately, multiple injuries the last couple of seasons. So, everybody talks about this not being it's meaningless. The guys aren't playing this and that. Tell that to Cam Akers, who's trying to revive his career in the NFL. Or tell that to the guy who's trying to make it on special teams and all that. There's still a lot of meaning to what supposedly is a meaningless game.
Zig Fracassi is our guest, anchoring the coverage, which you'll be able to hear tomorrow as, of course, greats going into the Hall of Fame. Zig, I drove past the stadium, Tom Benson Stadium last year, and when you're on the express, like, whoa, where did that come from? That like you don't realize like that's a and again, it's been years there, and I would imagine you've one of these years you've taken the experience and tell us about the improvements and what the experience is like, because I know probably a lot of our listeners are wondering, all right, if it's not this weekend, that might be a fun kind of trip to go down to Canton.
Yeah, I mean, I've been coming here, since 2007, 2008, one of those years. And I can remember when none of that was around, because it was basically, one set of stands on, like if you're looking out from the press box, there's one set of stands, and then under you, there would be a set of stands, and both end zones were vacant. But within the last, 15, 16 years, obviously, Tom Benson, the late great owner of the New Orleans Saints, made a big endowment to the stadium, and with all the business coming in and everything like that, they have made this facility, for as small as it is, guys, really, really top shelf. It's like a compact stadium, but yet it's got a lot of the modern amenities, and it just goes to show that the vision David Baker had when he was president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame has really come to fruition. Like, for example, before you go into the hall, there's like a little plaza around there now. There's a Shoeless Steakhouse. There's places to eat, places to shop. When I was coming here, that was a pipe dream. They're going to be putting up, I think, Hilton, I want to say. They've got a hotel going in. So David Baker's vision was true. Make this just more than a Hall of Fame stadium, almost make it a year-round type of venue. So that vision, I think, is getting close to fulfilled. Just going down memory lane here, I think somebody on X, maybe Pro Football Journal or something, recently posted the 1974 Hall of Fame game with the Cardinals, who were then in St. Louis, against the Bills. And think about how it changed from 1974, where basically you maybe had one grandstand of seats and everything was on a lawn.
Yeah.
So fast forward 50 years, now you've got this truly modern edifice in Canton, Ohio.
Zig, Gino was talking about his last trip to Canton, and we were thinking what it would be like if Steve Tasker ever got in. We were trying to think of any Buffalo Bills that still haven't gotten in, and Tasker's the name, and we have a relationship with Steve. He's on our station, and we hear him every day. We see him. He's the best, right? So to walk us through what the ceremony is like? Is it still like, I think, Gene, when you said you went there, you just basically show up,
Yeah,
right?
Zig. So I went the year that Joe Gibbs and Charlie Joyner went in. It was just, it was so casual. It was like, hey, what are we doing this weekend? You know what? I've never done that. Let's go down. And me and a couple buddies went down, and it was on the front steps. Anybody could show up.
Steps, yep.
And then we hung out. And we watched afterward the Hall of Fame game between the Colts and the Saints, and it was a fun Saturday afternoon. And I believe it was Jim Kelly that, okay, we got too big a crowd here. We got to move this in. We got to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. So I haven't been back since they kind of moved this to its own thing on a Saturday. What is it like?
Oh, Gino, like you're absolutely right, because we're showing our age here. When this used to be a time when you had the Hall of Fame speeches, then you played the Hall of Fame game the same day, and then I think over time you started to figure out, well, you know what? In anything, especially in this country, there could be money made. So why not have the game on a separate day? And then they moved it to Sunday, and then we all know what happened with the coagulation of the field, which made it feel like an ice skating rink. That's why the Packers, and I forgot who they were playing, they couldn't play the game because the field was so treacherous. So they decided then, have a game on Thursday night. Then, Saturday, you have the ceremony. Sunday night, was it Carrie Underwood, I believe, is doing a concert here. So this could become, guys, more of a weekend. And the ceremony itself, it's changed a lot, especially within the last few years, because now essentially the speeches are timed. In fact, the presenter is not even live. Well, they're there to unveil the bust, but the speech is pre-recorded, and then, the person comes on, they unveil the bust, and then they make their speech, and generally those are kept to now, maybe 8 to 10 minutes each, because we had an issue a few years ago when you had Dion, I think it was, or not Dion, it was, I forgot who was, Brett Favre, and some of these other guys. They literally had like half-hour each speeches. So if you imagine trying to keep people in the stands when it's hot out too, and this was at night, they had this, it's like it got to be like a 4.5 hour ceremony. So now it's more streamlined than it used to be, but it's changed quite a bit since the last time Gino was there. So it's more of an event, more streamlined, and I think they're going to try to get everything done within 3 hours tomorrow.
And still is it a ticketed event? It is something that you buy your tickets in advance if you're going to go to the ceremony and you want to sit through the speeches and everything?
Yeah, I believe it is. You can pay for the ticket, and then they've also, with the NFL, you can also do package deals.
I was going to say,
to tie it in with a 2 or 3 night stay at a hotel or whatever. So. It is still a ticketed event.
Zig Fracassi joining us from Ohio. Zig, really appreciate the time there. And, before we let you go, quick thought on the Buffalo Bills, as we saw your guys there, Jim Miller stop by there, who joined us when we were out at Fisher last week. What are you seeing from Buffalo here in a year of transition?
Well, I think our guys were out there, too, this past week. Jim and Pat were there at Bills camp. I think it was either Monday or Tuesday. So it just seems to be they're expected to be good, but I still think because of the turnover with the roster and some brand names being, obviously dismissed or let go, whatever the case might be, I think there's still a little bit of a question mark. Basically, too, it's like who's going to be – is there going to be a top pass catcher? Because, Coleman seems to be wowing people in practice and all that, but, you got to wait till you see in terms of putting the pads on and everything like that. Is that something that bodes well for Josh Allen? Instead of having alpha male for one receiver, you spread the wealth a little bit. You mentioned Von Miller. Apparently he's looked very, very good. So if he's revived, I think that helps the defense quite a bit. I think there's a sense there that, the Jets with Rodgers will be dangerous. Miami loaded up, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball. New England's got a lot of work to do. And, there's still Buffalo, the 4-time straight AFC East champs. They're still maybe laying in the weeds And I think there's just, again, because from a national perception, because of who's going to step up to be the receiver and some of the losses they've had on defense, and if Milano comes back, there's still a few question marks. But still, when you got Josh Allen and that coaching staff there, they are always going to be in competition and always be up there for a playoff spot.
Zig, you're the best. We'll be listening for you on the Bird, and appreciate you being our ears and eyes in Canton today.
Mike, Gino, always good being with you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Zig. Zig Fracassi.
Sirius XM, you can hear Zig there, and Western New Yorker there in Canton, Ohio, letting us know everything that's going on.
So I can remember details about things from long, long ago, and I can't remember what I did yesterday, right? It's with a lot of us. After we went to that game, then you talk to locals and like, oh, where should we go grab a bite? And like, oh, you got to go over to Massillon. Chris Spielman's place. So this is before, like, hey, sports bars are like a thing now, right? You got chains, you got this, you got that. Chris Spielman, at the time, a big linebacker with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Later, he would join the Buffalo Bills.
But Ohio State product, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And right from the area, too. Opened this, anybody who went to that, just amazing restaurant, sports bar, memorabilia everywhere. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, does Chris Spielman still have it? And I just read up. No, it closed long ago, the year 2010. It's now a synagogue.
Really?
Like, that's quite a transition there. Yeah.
Restaurant business is tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. All those guys that open up restaurants, I don't know. People are like, yeah, you go every year in Chicago. You ever go to Ditka's? You ever go to Michael Jordan? I'm like, no, never.
No, it's Jim Kelly had a sports bar downtown Rochester too, sports restaurant. Yeah, I guess it would be fun to lend your name to something like that.
Thurman's got his name on the Batavia place,
the
right?
Batavia place,
yeah.
But that's, you're supported by Batavia Downs.
That's
there.
right.
It's a little different when you're on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought you were going to say that the locals were telling you to go to Hooters or something like that. Yeah, we all go to Hooters. It's it's a local place that we have here.
We used to have one in Rochester.
We did.
Yeah.
I remember it from I don't know. It was like when I moved here in the late '90s. It was right there on Jefferson Road.
Yes.
Yes. There was another place too on Jefferson Road that was similar to Hooters, but not Hooters. Do you remember the Tilted Kilt?
I thought you were going to say what Hooters became. Do you remember what Hooters became? Hooters pulls out, and then it's, okay, we got to come up with some sort of idea. And it was kind of creepy. Cheerleaders USA.
Oh, yeah. No, I did not.
Tilted Kilt.
I forgot about Cheerleaders USA. I did forget about that. So there was a boom there for a little bit in the late 90s of restaurants with scantily clad waitstaff that went from Hooters to
Cheerleaders
USA.
Tilted Kilt.
Tilted Kilt. Okay.
Forgot about the Tilted Kilt.
We're going to take a break and come back. Happy hour is next. Man, we have an epic weekend in front of us. Let's get there. We have your calls on the way at 866-4FAN. You can join us at 866-4326. The NFL gets over the Hall of Fame game last night. And before we leave at 6 o'clock, we should know, what helmet did Josh Allen wear out of the tunnel at Highmark for the return of the blue and the red?
He might be coming out there for warm-ups any minute. So if you didn't go to the blue and the red, okay, you can live vicariously with us here.
Yeah, we'll be following along here and reporting as they happen here at Highmark Stadium. More next in Happy Hour, the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Thanks for joining us on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar.
9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
The rain letting up in Orchard Park, where the blue and the red scrimmage coming up at the bottom of the hour. Should be about 2 hours tonight. Daquan Jones on how the defense is coming along.
Just that we're growing. We're very young, and but I feel like the first couple of days we were kind of catch our stride. The last 2 days, I think we had a pretty good practice. I was going to keep on stacking the days. We got a lot of time left, and but I'm happy with where we're going at the defense.
Next practice is St. John Fisher coming up at 11:45 a.m. on Sunday. Rochester Red Wings home tonight. Omaha once again the opponent. Wings have 33 home wins this season. That is tied for the most in the International League. Just one game in the majors. The Cubs leading the Cardinals. They're in the 8th, 6-3 Chicago. Yankees sending Marcus Stroman to the mound tonight. They're home against Toronto. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Tonight is the return of the blue and red practice, which kicks off at 5:30 p.m. this evening.
Oh, yeah, folks.
I love it.
Mike Danger.
Let's get that red helmet on these guys, and let's make it happen. We want the helmet, the red helmet. One game a year, I think we would all be satiated. A little throwback to the Kelly era Bills. I'd love to see that.
I'm actually going no helmet.
Gene Battaglia.
I think there's a lot you can be encouraged. I think this Bills offense is actually going to be just fine. It's the safeties, it's the back end, it's the pass rush, it's all those things that right now, I just kind of got some questions entering the season.
Touchdown! Touchdown Bears!
The Bears.
Your thoughts on this new kickoff that we saw last night in Canton?
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Are we officially on helmet watch? I believe we are.
I keep hitting refresh in my X feed here.
Okay.
Look, I've been saying along, Zubaz is the way to go. Brownie today opening up the show. Yeah, I heard it somewhere that's somewhere. Brownie.
Oh, Chris Brown listens to Sports Bar.
I know he does.
Especially when we're like within arm's reach of each other.
Yes.
Underneath the Pelicana Pavilion and starting our show.
Maybe he was listening, but he didn't know it was me or you that said it. That's why he went to someone.
It could very easily be a Zuba's helmet tonight. I mean, you just have that print made up and you slap it on a helmet. Don't tell me it can't be done. It can be done.
This has become the thing now.
This is the Josh Allen gimmick, right? He buffed you though. He didn't really answer your question when you pressed him on this yesterday.
Right. He just said I'm going out with no helmet, which maybe that would be something too. Is there something else in the works?
He's lying to you, Gene. It's not. He's not going to tell you what helmet. He's going to leave it as a surprise, and when we find out, this has become his gimmick. Every year, it's a different helmet, right? The red helmet the one year, which wasn't really the throwback red helmet. It didn't look like
that
was a different color red.
No, that was a legit one from the 90s. I know this. When we got by we, I mean our company, got the broadcast contract to air Buffalo Bills games, were you on that junket that went out? They did something like, okay, everybody from the company, let's go out. And we all got in a bus and we all went out.
I try to avoid company junkets because a lot of things happen at company junkets that make you kind of look at your coworkers through a different lens moving forward.
There was one story from that day.
I
digress.
Yeah.
But the point being, okay, I went on the bus and they actually brought us the one place we're never allowed, and it's off season, through the equipment room. And the equipment room had all sorts of like uniform things that you haven't seen in years. Like Pat Duffy's head. I don't think Duffy was with us at that point, but his head would have exploded. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing it, Derek. Well, the thing was, like, they had all the old Kelly era helmets for whatever reason saved. Just sitting there. So it would have been real easy for Josh Allen to say, hey, you got the sides over there, and putting it on.
So that's what he wore a couple of years ago.
That's right. That's why they looked like the red didn't kind of like.
It didn't look right.
Didn't look
But that
correct.
was legit. That was a legit helmet from back in the day.
That was like a real throwback from back in the day.
So the red has changed from then to now. The red that they carry in their uniform now isn't the same red that they had back then.
It was kind of dull, actually. You watch those old videos, like the red now pops a little bit.
Yeah.
Hot uniform talk here in the sports bar.
Of course.
It's Friday afternoon.
We'll wait for Josh Allen to emerge from the tunnel with whatever color helmet he's going to wear. Gino's money's on a Zubaz printed helmet. We'll see.
What would be your second choice? Like, what would be the plus money here, Danger?
I would say we did the blue chrome last year, right?
Right.
Something with a matte finish.
Like a black mat or something?
Something with a matte finish. I think the matte finish is something that that he could roll out with that would make people's heads explode. Yeah, we'll refresh the feed and we'll see if we can get word on what Josh emerges from the tunnel with. That's the point of training camp we're at.
Well, the first guy to come out on the field, I'm looking at the video right now, courtesy of Josh Reed, Mac Hollins.
Of course.
Barefoot.
Yes.
Barefoot, walking out of the field.
And he's legit, man. I mean, you left the cafeteria a few minutes before I did yesterday.
Would you run into Mac Hollins?
He was going up the stairs as I was going. He was coming up as I was going down.
Wait, he wasn't barefoot, was he?
He was barefoot. Of course he was barefoot.
Okay, I understand barefoot, but there are limits. Pavement, blacktop.
Nope.
It's hot in the summer. It's hot.
He's not doing it. He's not wearing shoes. He's not wearing shoes. He marches to the beat of his own drummer. Good for him. He's become a little cult hero at Buffalo Bills training camp. And if you heard us earlier talking with 13 Web Sports and BuffaloPlus.com's Dan Fates, he's on this team. And not only on this team, probably a captain. Probably your special teams captain.
Yes. So that means we're doing the exercise here. And these things go up, they go down. Beginning of the week, my gosh, it's Shavers, MVS out. Wait, Thursday, MVS puts up a good practice. Okay, this is going to go on here for a little bit. We got a whole month. Everybody buckle in.
The Bills are back in Rochester Sunday morning. That'll be 11:45. That's their only late morning start through their time in Rochester. So a later start Sunday morning. Monday, practice at 9:45, closed to the public. Tuesday, a day off. And then Wednesday, Thursday, dunzo.
Do we get a celebrity sighting on Monday? And by celebrity, there was some NBA player from Buffalo I was vaguely familiar with, but I'm talking Boeheim.
It's close to the public because it's like the corporate day, right? Like
Right.
all the corporate sponsors get their special time with
It's-
the team. And
yeah,
the
and-
team glad hands all the sponsors.
And we're under a different set of rules. You and I and everybody else that covers the team, we can't tell you who, oh my gosh, DeMar Hamlin was practicing with the ones. No, that's the one day where they're going to install some stuff and we can't tell you.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, like I said, Wednesday and Thursday, the final two practices. Hopefully you've had the chance to get out and spend some time at St. John Fisher. It's a great event. Love that it's in our backyard.
I'm wondering, if they end up cutting this down, because the fact that they're coming back for kind of a third week, like if they had left this week and now we're back in Buffalo, I don't think we would be all that upset. I'm bringing this up because that's what the Cowboys did. Cowboys are breaking camp today at Oxnard.
No kidding.
Yep, they're going on back there. Last practice today out there.
For all that was made earlier this week about the Cowboys putting pads on and crowds being a little bit light, I mean, I think they've been light for some time at Cowboys camp, haven't they?
Right.
So I don't know that it's really a story as much as it's a story because it's happening at a time when you're not paying your quarterback, your wide receiver, or your elite pass rusher.
Wait, you're kidding me. You mean you could take something and make it fit your narrative?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it happens from time to time. We had a Hall of Fame exhibition game last night, and it was cut short because of inclement weather in Canton. 3:31 left in the third quarter, and they called it. And when I saw that radar image that they showed, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's no way. They're not finishing this game. We're all going to bed early tonight, folks.
Yeah, I mean, did ABC, ESPN get all their commercials played? Yes, they did. Did the gates cut? Yes. All the money has cleared.
Yeah.
Okay, see everybody next year.
All the checks have been cashed. All the money has been counted. The Bears get the win, 21-17. The highlight of the game is really the kickoff, the new kickoff rule, which is for the first time we were able to see it on a field. And look, I think through the course of the preseason, as you watch these games, you're going to see something that you're not used to seeing. But I think if your expectation is that every game is going to have a kickoff that results in a return for a touchdown, slow it down. I don't think that's going to happen.
You could get like different plays, like a big hit that results in a fumble, things you don't normally see. But the conclusion that I have on this is that we need to reserve our judgment on this till we actually see it in the real games. Week 1, I'm talking about. No special teams coordinator is going to unveil anything where the guards are going to be pulling and something exotic, or you see some throw going across the field. I mean,
Continue.
I'm totally distracted.
No, don't be distracted. It's Friday, baby.
All right.
You want one? Cheers.
I'm someone who doesn't like to mix. So I think it's raining out a little bit tonight. I think it's a red box wine.
You're gonna do a little box wine?
Yeah. So like if I'm going cold one,
it's fine.
I can wait till I get home.
That's fine. Look, it's Friday. It's happy hour.
People ask us all the time, do you guys really?
Football is back.
Football's back. You got the egg going. What the heck was I talking about? Reserve judgment on the kickoff.
Yeah. Well, last night, you could argue the greatest of all time made a comment about it. Devin Hester was interviewed. And he came off as kind of like iffy on the new rule. And, this coming from a guy that didn't play in the league at a time when they kind of discouraged returns. He wouldn't have been who he was if he played in the league the last 10 years or so. So I like it just because we now have a play. It's a play once again. It's not a waste. It's not a bathroom break. It's something that could result in a return. And that hope that a play like a kickoff could result into a memorable, big, game-changing, game-altering play is something that will grab our attention. There were 7 return kickoffs, 8 kickoffs total. 1 was a touchback. With the new rule, the touchbacks now will have your team starting at the 30-yard line. With the 7 returns, the average starting position was a 25.6-yard line, and the longest return was 31 yards. So, again, no touchdowns. It looks different, but it's I think it's the promise of a play where we didn't have a play because of the fear of a player really getting seriously injured.
Chris writing in, you can write to us on X, our handle, The Fan Rochester. So I'm guessing that Matt Collins likely won't ever have a Nike or Adidas endorsement. Oh, no, Chris, you got it all wrong there. You got it backwards. Hi, I'm Matt Collins for Under Armour, insert name here. And I don't normally wear sneakers, but when I do.
Yeah, he's holding out is what he's doing. Yeah. This is really a protest. He's not wearing shoes because he doesn't have a deal yet. But when he gets that deal, he'll wear shoes. When he gets that deal, he'll be sporting them. Appreciate that, Chris. We're on X at The Fan Rochester. Follow us across all social media platforms while you're at it. I mean, we're sharing our content from training camp on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, X, Instagram, Facebook.
So what I've learned, though, we could put out all these great things. Here's us with Brandon Beane. Here's us talking to Daquan Jones. Last year was Matt Perino and the Garbage Plate that got the most views. And you putting out last night, or somebody, was it Max? Who was it that put out last night my confession about giving Sal Capaccio unwanted directions?
Well, I just think it's become the most obsolete question you could ask in our society. Do you need directions? Like
nobody's pulling over for directions.
Nobody asks for directions. Nobody is offering them, and nobody's asking for them because we all know where we're going if you have a smartphone. And so the question that we would ask to be courteous or polite if you're new to town, hey, do you need directions on where to go? Nobody needs directions anymore.
No.
But because you embody the spirit of our community, Gino, you're a local who wants to help those. You're so pro-Rochester. You want to make sure that everybody who's spending time here is enjoying their time. You ask Sal, do you need directions to get to your event tonight?
And his response, deadpan, not as a joke, I have a phone.
I think that was such a beautiful moment in sports bar history.
And then ha. Yeah, Gene, you want me to get a TomTom, a Garmin? What else you need?
No, the TomTom was a hot item. And by the way, if somebody did want to give you directions, you could just scratch it down there with your in your Palm Pilot if you want while you're at it. The Tom Tom was great.
BlackBerry.
Yeah. The Tom Tom was great because for a while there, if you had one, you were targeted. Like you had to make sure you were protecting yourself. You had to make sure that Tom Tom was stashed away, that nobody knew that you had this high-tech piece of navigation in your car that wasn't built into your car like every new car has now. No, you needed to actually like hide that thing to make sure that it would be safe and nothing would happen.
We have breaking news in the sports bar.
Breaking news.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
You're close, but not close enough.
It's not Matt?
It's black with a red standing buffalo.
A black helmet.
Black helmet for Josh Allen with a red standing buffalo. Is it Matt?
It's got to be. I don't know that I've seen an NFL helmet.
I'm going to hold
isn't Matt.
I'm holding this up for Danger live on the air. Is that Matt or I can't tell.
It doesn't look like it is.
No.
No, there's a little bit of a gloss on that. Right? You can see the gloss on that?
Yeah.
So it looks like if the Atlanta Falcons were the Atlanta Buffaloes, is what you're telling me.
Well, I credit the Bills because there was a time in the late 90s where, remember, like, everybody was going black? Sabres went black and red, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, it's...
Houston went black and red last night. What are they doing?
That wasn't black. That was navy.
That was navy?
Well, the Chicago Bears are wearing black by then.
No, that's navy. That's the same color they've always worn. The Houston Texans wore like a navy blue. This is like a black.
You should. If your uniforms look like some other team's uniforms, go back to the drawing board. That's my take on the Houston Texans.
Some hot uniform talk here in the sports bar during happy hour. So we've got Josh emerging from the tunnel with a black helmet. So it's the old throwback helmet, but not a white helmet, a black helmet.
It's the throwback logo, the standing buffalo.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the red throwback helmet.
Yeah.
The throwback. They wear that helmet, the white helmet, once a year, right? With the standing buffalo.
I think they do still.
Yeah, that's the one that they choose instead of the red helmet.
The red helmet.
Okay. Whew. Well, now that we've got that out of the way, I don't know what else to talk about, Gene. Can we just close up shop now and call it a day? That was what everybody was waiting for.
Well, you're cracking open beers there, bud. Here's my question, because I did not even know Danger secretly somewhere in the studio has hidden this fridge. Did anybody else find it?
It's in plain sight. It's not hidden.
Well, no, but if you're walking by, you wouldn't know that.
Right.
You're on the other side.
Has anybody seen it or found it? I don't know. Nobody's said anything to me about it.
Well, the inventory.
The inventory's fine.
Okay, nobody's touching the inventory.
No, we're good. We're good.
Like wait till we get more people working after hours with the Amherst and the Sabres and everything.
I'm fairly certain that we've got a couple of guys on our staff that aren't beer drinkers. And you're a professional. I am not. So I'm not worried about you. Dan DeLorean, I'm not worried about. Terrible time Timmy might crack one.
He would.
Yeah, terrible time Timmy might crack one. But I think for the most part I'm safe. I haven't you know what? I'm gonna wait until our next live show at Three Heads. And then I'm gonna leave Three Heads with a little bit of an inventory that I can stock the in-studio fridge with.
Yeah, that'll be the test, because that'll long night. Does that really belong to Danger? Or does that belong to the company? It belongs to me.
Yeah. Well, it's just going to be an epic weekend, man. I'm so excited. We had football last night, and you know, there's meat ready to get smoked for me this weekend. My daughter's birthday party. The family's coming over. I bought a football for my nephew, who's just starting to play football. This is his first year. We're going to run patterns, hoping the weather holds out. And yesterday with that game and everything that was going on around Canton and the Hall of Fame, the one story that broke after we got off the air blows my mind. And nobody's going to talk about it. Nobody's going to say anything because it's no longer a story anymore.
Yeah.
But when the NFL lost their antitrust suit and looked like they were going to have to pay out $14.7 billion in a settlement damages. It's gone. It's done. The judge on the case basically said, yeah, no, the jury didn't do it the way I wanted to do it, and therefore it's void and goodbye.
Huh? What?
So gangster. The NFL is so gangster. How in the hell did they get this judge to make this disappear with a simple stroke of the pen? It's mind-blowing.
How did they do it? Are we allowed to speculate? Are we allowed to kind of wonder?
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah,
Yes,
I would kind of look into the judge.
The judge who's about to retire, by the way, later this year.
You're not saying that jokingly.
No, he's scheduled to retire later this year. I'm sure that retirement will be a little bit more comfortable now, knowing that this is in his rearview mirror. Who got to him? Did somebody get to him? Somebody had to have gotten to him, right? This is the NFL.
What is the soft point there? Hey, your daughter wants to get into this college. We can make that happen.
Right.
What can we make? We can't have a paper trail of cash, but Judge Gutierrez, what do we need to do here?
It's
I want to know who the muscle is in the NFL. Because Goodell doesn't make that call.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. As soon as I heard this story, I don't know why my mind went there, but do you remember the Tom Cruise movie, The Firm, where he's part of this large law firm, this prestigious law firm in Nashville or Memphis or wherever it was, and he's excited about this new job, and he finds out that there's a little bit of shadiness going on, and it's kind of crooked, and there are people that are doing things the wrong way, and there's a guy as a part of the firm that is played by Wilford Brimley, who's kind of like the enforcer. Wilford Brimley is the enforcer. Who cast this movie? Anyways, that's what I thought of right away. I thought, yeah, a guy like that intimidated this judge or got to this judge, and the judge thought better of proceeding or letting this proceed. And for the NFL, business as usual. They were looking down the barrel of a $14+ billion settlement, which would have meant, what was the math? $441 million per team.
Yeah, and if we're allowed to connect dots, all of a sudden the NFL, which has been really the old boys club, it really is. Think about that. Like, no public companies, you selling to whoever you want, but now you're going to invite in private equity? Selling off parts of the teams? Who needs to do that and why? Now, we could set aside the Buffalo Bills because they're trying to sell part of the team. We know that. But they were going to have this meeting at the end of the month, Danger. That basically is, okay, how do we go about this? Well, I'm wondering if that meeting gets canceled now because teams that might have that cash flow issue, like you mentioned, one stroke of the pen,
gone. And, what would have happened? You could look at what would have happened had this settlement gone through as it was supposed to. I mean, you would imagine that every team would tighten up their belts a little bit, that coaches would be paid less, the players would be paid less, that the cap would be affected by it. They would have found ways to make up for that loss and ways that they would have spread out the hurt across the entire league. They don't have to worry about it anymore. Everything's fine. At least for now. It doesn't mean that it's going to go away entirely, but when you talk about an appeal or when an appeal could happen, it could be a while from now, a couple of years. And by that point, are we still talking about this? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's and now the leverage is now clearly on the NFL side. Now the prosecution's on their heels, and do you really want to keep paying lawyers in this class action lawsuit or whatever? Now, the judge could order just a retrial, but if we get to that point, then the jury's going to have it in the back of the mind. All right, even if the NFL is found to have improper business practices, you're not going to get some sort of verdict that would be, what was it, $4 billion something, but then triple because of antitrust,
right?
Making it 14. Yeah, it'll be much less.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right.
The NFL is just a remarkable machine, and they will mow you down. And, when you think about how they operate, I was having this conversation with my wife. My wife heard our conversation with Pete Goelli and went on her show on The Buzz and started talking about PSLs and billionaire owners and why are we paying all this money for this. And she's clearly against people, financing their future to fund a billionaire's football team. And I get where she's coming from.
Well, look, that's a fair and reasonable take.
I get where she's coming from. But I was trying to explain to her that I really, in my heart of hearts, I want to believe that Terry and Kim Pegula aren't they're not nefarious people. Like they have good intentions. They're emotional about their teams. They want their teams to be successful. They're business people. They're shrewd. They're going to do what they need to do to make money because that's what good business people do. But I don't think they're bad people. I don't think they're ill-intentioned, right? I don't think in their hearts they're bad people. But they're in this club that has set a precedent for so long now that if you don't stand in line, you're going to get kicked out of the club. And if you're the NFL, you have that much power where you could say to a local politician, I mean, do you want to be known as the politician who let the Buffalo Bills leave Western New York? This is what we need. We need this money. We need this $880 million for a new stadium. Do you want to be the county executive that sees a team leave on your watch? Of course you don't. They have you. It's such a gangster league. They have you.
This didn't have, I mean, you're going back to the Ralph Wilson era when Russ Brandon was here and they would have these blue ribbon committees and like they found this magic pot of money from the Native Americans that they had to go collect.
Yeah.
So, it's found money. It doesn't matter anyways. We've got legalized gaming. Doesn't matter anyways.
Yes.
Where, I don't know, if I had a windfall, I don't know, I might be paying down debt or putting it into the bank or doing whatever I need to do.
I mean, there are issues with our state, right? We can look in the mirror and say, yeah, there's some things that probably need some improving.
Now, I will say this. It's not like, say, Atlanta where you have the Georgia Dome and I need something bright, fancy, and new. Like, there were issues with that stadium.
Yep.
The upper deck.
Yep.
They were going to shut that down. Like, it was at the end of its life. But the idea that this is the way we financed it, okay, we're done with that. But this is the ongoing story, Danger, is that I don't like the lack of transparency when it comes to you, the fan, and how much your PSL is going to cost.
Oh, yeah.
I like, hey, this is the price. And, hey, this is the way you could finance it. You don't know the prices here unless you actually go to their dog and pony show in person in Buffalo.
Right. That's right.
What the hell kind of business model is that? This is not Chuck McDowell's timeshare that we're talking about. Actually, it is. That's what exactly this sounds like.
Yeah.
We've all been stuck in those. You make the mistake when you're young. Hey, hon, we can get a free lunch if we go to this. Oh, my gosh, get me out of this. Why are the Buffalo Bills going to this model? I'll tell you why. Because it's too damn much money. If I said, hey, you season tickets, oh, yeah, we're going to tack on another 8, 10, 12, whatever it is for the PSL. What's the damn value of the PSL? In Buffalo, it's nothing. You could say maybe in another city, hey, we got the Final Four, we got this. What is coming into Buffalo? What is the real value of the PSL? It's
a
nothing.
concert here, a concert there. I mean, how many concerts come through Highmark Stadium right now?
Like 3 or 4.
Right. So for when Morgan Wallen comes to the new Highmark Stadium, hey, congrats, you'll have a seat. You're guaranteed your seat.
No, you're guaranteed the right to buy the seat. You don't get to show up. You get to pay, just like you had to pay for your tickets.
Right, yes. That's right. You're not getting an advance,
the
right.
The PSL is the most disgusting invention for a fan. It really is.
Well, it hurts, and I feel for the people who are making this investment without paying for it in cash. It's a toy. Pay for your toys with cash. It's a toy. It's fun. It's a fun thing to do. It's something you're really, really going to enjoy. It's not something you really, really, really need. It's something you're really, really, really going to enjoy.
But you can find. We learned this week.
Yeah.
You can finance this at 0% over 4 years.
I think more. I think you can go even more.
Oh,
than 4
more than
years.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
But would they hit you with a finance charge?
I mean, I would love to know more about how the corporate partner of the Buffalo Bills, M&T, lays out their financing options for anybody that wants to spend.
Well, that's also the thing that's very, very unsavory and weird. Okay, the non-disclosure you've got to sign. Why? Like when the media got you had to sign a non-disclosure. So we have somebody, and if you've gone through it too, give us a call 866-4326. We have friends that have gone through it. Like, okay, so you get to sit in the seat. And then when you sign, they play the shout song or whatever it is. They play the highlight video.
I think we're partially to blame for the people that are going through with it. And look, if you're going to go through with it, awesome. like, good. Do what you want. It's your life. It's your money. I think because we were kind of preconditioned, knowing how much PSLs were in other markets with other new stadiums, when you hear the actual figure, you might think to yourself, oh, well, that's actually less than the 15 or 25,000 that I thought it was going to be up front just to have the right to buy a seat. I don't think that story has reached its apex yet. It'll happen here probably within the next 12 months, though. I feel like the next 12 months is when we get to is the stadium set to open in 26? 2025 is it
26, yeah.
Yeah, the PSL is going to be a story in 2025.
The disaster story for the PSL was out in Oakland. This is going back years, but they did this, and everybody was like, no. And then they just kind of gave up, and then people started buying. Wait, you paid for your season tickets? You didn't get hit on this? We're never going to know how things are pacing. They don't want you to know. Oh, there's another detail about this, too. I learned this. If you want to go, hey, this is the price for your seat. Like where they project your seat, your cost. I can't afford that, but maybe I can go to the upper deck. That sounds reasonable, right? No, you can't do that.
No?
Nope. You have to wait. Because we have to go through the people at that level.
That's right.
That's in sales. That's called fear of loss. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's either this or nothing.
Yeah.
That's also kind of shady.
It is gangster, man. This is the NFL. We are all addicts. We're all addicts. We can't say no. We cannot say no. I was there last night. I cracked up in a cold one in my garage. I'm watching the product. I'm like, this is an exhibition game. It means nothing, but I am all in.
Are you kidding me? This time next week, we're going to have full action, preseason, Bills, Bears. We're now less than 3 weeks away from week 0.
Yep.
Oh, I don't want to wish summer away.
No, I don't either, but I am excited that football is back. All that being said, I'm excited that football is back. We have a round of shots on the way next.
Yeah, as we've got some details now as to why Freddie Freeman has been apart from the Dodgers here. Not so good. We'll get you updated on the Olympics here. Not a good day for U.S. men's soccer. We've been saying that quite frequently. And it's the story that comes around once a year, one of our favorites in sports. So we'll tell you, if somebody shoots their age at age 85, is that something we should applaud? I would applaud it. We'll tell you.
Okay, we'll get to that and more next. A round of shots next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sport. update.
The blue and the red scrimmage is underway in Buffalo, and quarterback Josh Allen came out of the tunnel tonight wearing a black helmet with a red standing Buffalo. Taylor Rapp has become a leader at safety.
At the end of the day, it's just getting the best 11 guys on the field, whether that's, dime, whether that's safety, all that stuff. So at the end of the day, just trying to help the team as much as possible. And, if I got to play another position, whatever, someone's got to play another position, someone's got to jump in. At the end of the day, it's just about helping the team win. That's it.
Next practice at St. John Fisher coming up 11:45 a.m. on Sunday. The Wings are home tonight. Omaha once again the opponent. Wings have won 33 home wins this season, as tied for the most in the International League. American Grant Fisher takes bronze in the 10,000 meter, only the second U.S. male to ever do so. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The only way to take the Fan Rochester with you is the free Odyssey app. Download it today and follow the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
And so one of our regulars, Monica, texted us, what's the pace for Fisher there in that 10K?
4:18.
4:18. So dad runners everywhere. Hear my voice. You're like me. Keep thinking that you run as fast as that guy runs when you're on your dad run. That's the only thing that can keep you going.
Yeah, Monica, Joey Whalen, who went to the U.S. Marathon qualifiers, he actually knows Grant Fisher and said Grant is an awesome guy. Stand up. So that's good things happen for good people.
And it's Monica and Joey Kipchoge, our regulars here in the sports bar, keeping us up to date on what's happening at the Olympics on the track. And that 10K race was a thrilling finish. And nice to see an American get on the medal stand.
So let me start with the good and the Olympics, and then I'll go over to the not so good. So more good news. Katie Ledecky, now the record holder. What record? Thanks to a silver medal in the 4x200 meter freestyle relay, Ledecky gets her 13th Olympic medal. That makes her the most decorated female in American history.
Was she the one that won so her margin of victory was
so
wide?
The camera didn't.
I love that. I love that. So that's the kind of dominance I'm talking about. That's what I want to see at the Olympics. Team USA, take note. It's not good enough to finish second or third. We don't want silver. We don't want bronze. We want gold, and we want gold by a lot.
Now, on the other hand, I'm reading a lot of language of losers talk online when it comes to U.S. men's soccer. Well, they had a great showing in the group stage. You can't overlook that. This was a stepping stone, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I guess maybe you and I view language of losers a little bit differently. If they're blaming the officiating, which I feel like Team USA does a lot, not this version of Team USA, just in general, when they're playing on the international, say, oh, the refs officiate. Oh, okay, that's the language of losers.
Listen, I'm not taking any positive after you get. Don't make excuses. You got whooped today, 4-0. The U.S. men losing to Morocco. Disclaimer being that the Olympics of men's soccer 23 and under.
I guess still. Team USA went to Paris 4-0. I'll see myself out.
Yes, you will. Part of shots here, too, is we talk about things that are going to be happening in the weekend. I'm just presenting this in a news context because I'm telling you this will be your lead story tomorrow, one way or another. Here it comes. The Hungarian Boxing Association is protesting because their boxer, Anna Luca Harmony, is going to be going against Iman Halif of Algeria. You know the story. Again, I'm not bringing this up to be divisive, only to give you a heads up. This is coming up tomorrow. The boxer from Hungary, Harmony, she's got a good attitude about this. She's ready. Quote, I'm not scared. I don't care about the press story. I don't care about social media. Harmony will accept her fight on Saturday.
So this is the fighter who beat the Italian girl, and there's a lot of, I see a lot of misinformation, and I don't know what's real and I don't know what's not. And usually when I see something like this, that's generally when I'll log off. And it
was like I didn't want to log off yesterday. We were in the middle of a show. So you're going to get these log off vibes tomorrow, one way or another.
Yeah.
So
well, I think the reaction, too, from the Italian boxer, you felt sympathy for her because of how she reacted. I don't know if she reacted the way she reacted because of how she performed or who she lost to.
So she came out today and apologized, said wasn't happy with my performance, basically.
Okay.
So
All right, so let's just let this play out. How about that? How about we just let this play out? And again, if you have strong feelings on this one way or the other, fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't know that there has to be a right or a wrong here. I've seen a lot of information cross my feed. I've glanced at it. I've kind of skimmed through it. I don't really. Thank you for pointing it out. I'm glad we're bringing it up.
I'm bringing this up
good.
as a service to everybody tomorrow that whatever time, I don't know what time this boxing match is going to happen, but
it'll be a story.
Everybody will have an opinion on this.
Great.
There will be,
That's when we're at our best. That's when we shine our brightest as a society.
Saturday's a good day to log off, though, in general.
I think so.
Yeah, go for a run.
I'm gonna run patterns with my nephew in the backyard instead of checking social media. How about that?
Yeah. Dodger first baseman Freddie Freeman has been apart from the team. We knew this to care for his 3-year-old son. Today we know why. Maximus Freeman is suffering from Guillain-Barré syndrome. That is a rare neurological disorder. Now, this happened shortly after the All-Star game. The 3-year-old went into full paralysis. According to the Mayo Clinic, Danger, there is no known cure, but most people recover completely.
Really?
Including, and he shared this on social media, our guest in the 4 o'clock hour, Zig Fracassi.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow. Well, good vibes towards the Freeman family.
Yeah, and you know what? Good on Freddie, too. Go be with your kid. Baseball can wait.
That's a strong name for a kid, too.
Maximus.
I mean, Max for short, of course. But Maximus? Oh, somebody watched Gladiator one too many times. I like it.
Yankees and Jays highlight your sports weekend tonight in the Bronx. It'll be the former Blue Jay, Marcus Stroman, against Kevin Gausman. Of course, the Blue Jays playing off the string here. There's a potential playoff matchup in Cleveland where the Orioles continue their series. You've got the Cubs and Cardinals. That'll be your Sunday night game. That is the one final from today. The Cubs beating the Mouth Breathers, 6-3 the final there. Also, may I suggest something for Sunday? It's only 4 hours away. Sunday's the day. Paul Skeens will start for the Pirates. They go up against Arizona.
I got to imagine, and I haven't been watching every Paul Skeens start, but PNC Park has to sell out when he's on the mound.
Do you want to guess what the resale price is for Paul Skeens on a Sunday? I'll get cut to it. It's $21. It's face.
What?
Right. Face. $21. That's why I'm suggesting, hey, you're a baseball fan. That would be the day to go down there.
That would be a fun afternoon. See Paul Skeens throw gas for $21 a ticket. Not too bad.
Can I get that by the executive producer? I got to do some research here for the show.
Don't even get me started on the continuous negotiations happening with me and Sandy. It's just, there's going to be a payday for me in the future where I'm going to cash in all my chips. I've got a large stack of chips that I'm cashing in.
Dude, I think you foolishly spent your chips on going to the collectibles show.
How dare you? Look behind you and tell me I spent foolishly. How dare you?
She was okay with that,
I did it for the show. I did it for my friend. I did it for Chuck Muncie. How dare you?
Finally, this story comes up every time this year, and she did it again. Who are we talking about? The woman who is a true national treasure shot her age at the U.S. Senior Women's Open. I'm talking about Joanne Carner. She shot an 85 in the opening round, known still to this day for choking down darts on the course, cracking one-liners. Big Mama had a really great one-liner, needing a par on 18 to shoot that 85. Carner drives her tee shot, boom, right down the middle of the fairway. And when an onlooker said, nice shot, Carner looks over and says she didn't want to waste any time with an extra stroke. Quote, I need to get to the bar.
85 years old. Still sharp as a whip. Sharp as a tack.
And smoking and drinking.
And choking down darts and getting to the bar right after the round. Yeah, I like that. At the Senior U.S. Open. That's big. That's a round of shots here in the sports bar. Hey, thanks for joining us this afternoon, by the way. It was fun having Zig Fracassi on from Canton. He was our ears and eyes at the Hall of Fame and the festivities happening this weekend. A little recap of last night's exhibition between the Bears and the Texans as well. The debut of the new NFL kickoff rule. Dan Fates, who we talked to yesterday at training camp. We played that conversation earlier today as well, 13 Web Sports and BuffaloPlus.com. If you missed either conversation, You can find them wherever you get your podcasts. We encourage the free to download Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. We encourage you to check out the video stream on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe there. Also on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. We appreciate you engaging with us on X at The Fan Rochester. And if you missed any of today's show in the Odyssey app, you can go back and listen with Rewind for the next 72 hours. We'll also get all of our show up and posted for you in podcast form as well here in the next few minutes. On Monday, we return to St. John Fisher University. It's a practice that is closed to the public, but we'll be there.
We'll be there. Thad Brown from News 8 will be stopping by. We will have other guests. Bill's player will be stopping by. And, again, you can't be out there Monday, but we're going to be behind the curtain, and we will fill you in as we'll have one last week of camp practice Monday, Wednesday. Thursday will be really abbreviated.
Three more camp shows to go. Thursday, they pull up stakes and then leave skid marks behind them. They get out of town quick in anticipation for that preseason opener against the Bears coming up a week from Sunday. So there you go. That's Monday. Thad Brown joining us in the sports bar, and we'll be live from St. John Fisher once again. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good time. And we will be back on Monday. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan Rochester.